Let's work together, really making that known to the supporters.
So Arsenal with Raya in goal, the first choice. White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko. Rice with Odegaard and Vieira. And then Saka and Nketiah and Jesus. Trossard injured in training. No Martinelli. And Tottenham with Vicario in goal. Porro, Romero, Van de Ven and Udogie. Sarr and Bissouma. Kulusevski, Maddison and Brennan Johnson making his first Tottenham start at Arsenal in the North London derby, and Captain Son through the middle. There's the whistle from Robert Jones, the referee, and a chorus, a loud chorus of boos from around us in the lower section of the stadium here as Tottenham kick off and go all the way back to goalkeeper Vicario. So Arsenal and Tottenham, it's fourth against second, both of them with 13 points. And I would describe this as one of the most eagerly anticipated matches of the season so far, as Vieira is upended in the centre circle and it's a free kick to Arsenal. Matthew Upson.
It's just got that feel, John, hasn't it? First few seconds, you know, it's really feisty. Arsenal, full press, high up the pitch. Spurs are going to be massively challenged today on how good they are with the ball at the back. Let me tell you, they're going to be under intense pressure.
So a throw down the right-hand side. Udogie chasing it all the way back there up against Saka. I mean, that's certainly one of the contests of the day. Udogie, who's been so impressive in his early days as a Tottenham player against Bukayo Saka. And also a word as well, Matt, for Brennan Johnson. What a game to come in after his move from Nottingham Forest.
What an opportunity to make your mark, really stamp some authority down on that position. We know he's got massives of pace as well, so whether he can put that to good use on that other side.
And there's a foul by Odegaard, the Arsenal captain, just a few days after his new contract was confirmed. He's fouled Van de Ven down in the full-back position.
Well, it's an indication of how high he's pressing, John. I mean, Van de Ven is basically on the outside of the 18-yard box, and Odegaard is alongside Nketiah at the moment, almost as a two, just trying to put loads of pressure on Spurs.
As Gabriel Jesus was almost onto that against Bissouma, and then Gabriel Jesus closes down Romero, but Tottenham are able to get it away via a deflection, and it's out of play for a throw-in. So this is Arsenal-Tottenham here on 5 Live. BBC Sounds this afternoon as well to follow it all. No goals yet in any of the 2 o'clock kickoffs, and it is Tottenham, white shirts, blue shorts, blue socks, who bring the ball away from the back. But Arsenal in their first choice colours have won it back, but then quickly lose it, and it's played forward by Sarr through the middle. Here's Maddison for the first time in the match to the left hand side. Brennan Johnson into the area, right foot tries, deflected up and over the top of the crossbar for a corner to Spurs. Bright early touches from Johnson.
Well, it's bright in the midfield from Spurs as well. Win the ball back into Maddison, feeds it straight out to Brennan Johnson, one-on-one with Ben White, coming into the corner there in yard box, shifts it onto his right foot, but Ben White does well, just gets in that alignment of that far post, and the ball just ricochets off him up into the air. But early signs of how swiftly Spurs can turn defence into attack.
Arsenal fans booing down on James Maddison as he takes the corner for Tottenham to the near post. Gabriel Jesus for the header. Bissouma with a shot, it's turned in the 6-yard box, but he had to be offside, Son, and immediately the flag went up. Had to be offside in that position. He was virtually standing next to the post. So it is a goal kick. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. All of the 2 o'clock kickoffs are not underway because at Anfield, Mike Maine,
we just are, John, but yeah, lengthy delay because, you know, as the players walk out of the tunnel, studs are checked, kits are checked. Chris Kavanagh's radio pack wasn't. That died on him just before kickoff, so we've had a delay as that sorted. We are underway. We've played 45 seconds, Liverpool 0, West Ham 0.
So all of these matches underway and all 0-0. One little thing I think is worth mentioning again, the fact that Arsenal were involved in the Champions League. You know, big emotion, returning to the group stage after 7 years on Wednesday night. Big win, good win. Some say best performance of the season so far. Tottenham have had 8 days to prepare for this.
Yeah, I don't know if I prefer that, John, to be honest. I think take the game, take the positive performance, feed off of that. Yeah, okay, physically it's a different challenge, but with the recovery strategies now, it's no dissimilar to really training hard for 2 or 3 days in a row. You get that match sharpness in the body. I think playing as much as you can, for me, is always the best option, especially when you're playing well. Makes a difference, doesn't it?
Nice sound reverberating around the Emirates Stadium on this cloudy London afternoon. We've had occasional sunshine. The ball is Tottenham's, and it is a goal kick that Vicario is going to take. It is the first North London derby in which it's Mikel Arteta's Arsenal against Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham. Postecoglou's first taste of this fixture in what is only his 6th Premier League match, and he's come dressed for the occasion. He's got a dark suit and dark tie on, and he's standing on the edge of the coaching area.
I was going to ask you about that, John. It's a bit more up your street, that, isn't it? A bit more traditional, shall we say?
Respectful.
Yeah,
respectful of a great,
that's the word.
Of a great tradition.
Yep.
And he's been involved in, well, possibly one of the greatest of derby matches over the course of recent seasons, the Old Firm game. So he's used to a wild atmosphere. Here's Zinchenko for Arsenal through the middle, plays it to the right hand side. Now Saka against Udogie, running at him, cutting in field, slipping the ball into Odegaard with a back heel, but Udogie was there in the path of it, and he was able to take it away. And then a little handoff from Saka onto Udogie. Then Saka for some reason throws himself down, and the ball's run out of play by Johnson, and the referee Robert Jones has got to sort this out. Well, the initial handoff, we could see it because we had such a good view on this side of the pitch, just down in front of us. It was Saka who handed off Udogie.
Yeah, he just bumped off him, and then Udogie just caught him, almost clipped his heels. I think it was accidental, actually, but the first little duel on this near side between the two, Saka offloading the ball, trying to do a little 1-2. They're so clever and intricate around the corners of these 18-yard box, Arsenal, on both sides. When you've got the likes of Odegaard just in field, and Declan Rice making those little deeper runs to support it, they really do work the ball well in wide areas.
Ball going back to goalkeeper Raya, his 3rd consecutive start, clearing out from the back, and then a foul on Jesus on the far side, and a free kick to Arsenal, and Jesus has stayed down, so that gives us a chance to nip back over to Spain and to Ian Carter at the Solheim Cup.
2 singles matches going to the United States. Megan Kang closes it out on Lynn Grant. Danielle Kang closes it out 4-2 against Charlie Hull. The USA now lead by 10 points to 9.
10 points to 9, just to update that on my notes here. And the commentary can be heard live from Spain. Cat Downs, Lydia Hall, on the BBC Sport website and app. Look for the golf pages, look for live Solheim Cup, and you'll find it there. This time next week we'll be at the Ryder Cup, bringing you that full-scale coverage from Italy, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But this, the North London derby with Nketiah making ground down the left-hand side, but Van de Ven came across. You enjoyed that, Matt?
Really impressed with that. Confident, decisive, goes to ground, Van de Ven, but wins the ball cleanly. Really good challenge.
Tottenham playing it out from the back, but Saka is wrestling with Udogie, who is all over the back of him. And I mean, the Arsenal fans in front of us are on their feet there, as though he's been hung, drawn and quartered, Saka. I mean, it was a slight tug on him, but it is given us a free kick.
But it's all noted for the referee, isn't it? So what do you reckon? He's got one more of those in him, John, before the yellow card comes out, if he does it again. So it all adds to the feeling that he has to keep his distance a little bit, or not get too tight to Bukayo Saka. You know, getting that yellow card this early in the game is a big problem in that fullback position.
Yep, not got it yet. Big challenge for this young man, the 20-year-old, the Italian, who was on loan at Udinese last season and has very much been picked as Postecoglou's left back this season. This is 6th start. Free kick then, Odegaard, left-footed, plays it in, curling it in towards the penalty area, bounces across the box, Rice stretching for it, Saka follows the ball to the dead ball line. He thought he had a corner, or at least that's what he was trying to make the assistant think, but he was having none of it, and it's a goal kick to Tottenham. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Let's go around the Premier League matches. Liverpool, West Ham, Mike Minor.
Well, West Ham have just had a header saved by Alisson. Thomas Souček rising highest, Alisson down well to his right hand side. The Hammers are causing problems, couple of crosses, another one that Alisson flapped at earlier. At the other end it's Darwin Núñez looking lively for Liverpool, but after 6 minutes, Liverpool 0, West Ham 0, only just.
Commentary on Sports Extra. Brighton, Bournemouth, Flo Pollock.
Brighton 0, Bournemouth 0. Solanke nearly took advantage of a quick free kick. His touch let him down. Brighton so patient with their play, just drawing Bournemouth on. As it stands, Brighton 0, Bournemouth 0.
Commentary online. Chelsea, Aston Villa, Henry Moran.
Chelsea the stronger of the two sides. It remains goalless as we head towards the 10-minute mark. Caicedo with a long-range sighter straight at Martinez, the closest we've come, 0-0.
And again, commentary online. Arsenal, Tottenham. We have had almost 10 minutes and neither goalkeeper yet has had to make a save. It's been frenzied, it's been frantic, and Tottenham with the ball played back across to Van de Ven, another one experiencing this match for the first time. Comes out to the tall Dutchman, who turns and plays it back to Vicario in goal, the replacement, taken over from Hugo Lloris, who is completely out of the picture.
You see a lot of Udogie from left back tucking into that midfield role as well, John. I know Zinchenko obviously famously does it.
They're all at it
brilliantly for Arsenal, but just then Van de Ven had the ball and Udogie was in that central midfield position.
As Vieira is clattered into by Kulusevski, he checked back onto his right foot, and Kulusevski just canked into the back of him, knocked him over, and it's a free kick to Arsenal, 5 yards inside their own half. Still goalless.
Big nod for him, isn't it, Vieira? Very starting this game.
Havertz on the bench.
Yeah, massive shot of confidence for him from Mikel Arteta.
Zinchenko pushing up the left-hand side, and then Vieira, who played well, I thought, in the Manchester United game.
Yeah.
As Zinchenko again out to the left-hand side. Jesus, who's playing on the left wing, but as Julien Laurent was saying to us before the game, you know, that's no alien position for him from his Manchester City days. So Eddie Nketiah getting another chance through the middle. Gabriel Jesus, when he's been playing up front in the last couple of matches, 2 goals in his last 3 appearances. Arsenal, Zinchenko, poor crossfield pass straight into Brennan Johnson, and then back to Udogie, who's being put under pressure and fouled by Saka. There's one back, another one back. What's that now? 3-2, is it?
I think so. 3-2 roughly. 4 Saka maybe, but yeah, it's a real duel, these two, both physically. I mean, you have to credit Saka's appearances. I don't think he misses a game. He doesn't miss a minute of a game, barely, does he, Bukayo Saka? And it looks like a really good physical match-up between these two.
It is Tottenham coming forward with Kulusevski, moving from right to left. Udogie. Now here's Brennan Johnson, who goes back to Van de Ven. Odegaard again, right on top of Van de Ven there. But Tottenham are able to play it through Sarr. And then over on the right-hand side, Pedro Porro. Kulusevski, I think, might have been tugged back by Zinchenko. And Tottenham, I think, are going to go all the way back to Bissouma, who's virtually in between the 2 central defenders now. Little Bissouma passing it out through the middle. This is good possession from Tottenham. Excellent stuff from Ange Postecoglou's side. Great possession going backwards, actually, rather than great possession going forwards, which is what they're known for.
Well, they're showing a bit of real bravery with the ball, I'll have to say. Every goal keeps going short to players, centre-backs just outside the 6-yard box. They're then playing it into the middle of the pitch, and Martin Odegaard, I mean, he's Arsenal's most advanced player out of possession. He's really pushing high.
Nketiah won the ball back, it bounced to Maddison, and Nketiah followed up, dived into the challenge on Maddison. Fortunately for him, he got the ball actually, but probably a bit of Maddison as well. No free kick. Robert Jones let it go.
Well, it looked a great tackle to me. Kind of tackles that you want to pay your entry for, you know, flying tackles. Yes, he'd left the ground a little bit, it was wholehearted, but he clearly won the ball and then clattered through Maddison. Certainly got the fans off their seats.
No complaints from Maddison, we should say.
No.
He got up, flexed his leg, and now Bissouma is dispossessed by Odegaard, and Arsenal come through the middle. Vieira back to Odegaard, 30 yards out, now to the right-hand side to Saka. Saka running at Udogie again, into the penalty area, to his left, back onto his right, then his left, curls it into the back post, and it's prodded across and pushed away by Vicario. By the arriving Gabriel Jesus. Ball still in play. Saka in the area on the right, plays it all the way back out of the box. Saliba's onto this, and then Ben White putting pressure on Johnson down in his own left back position, and he's clipped his heel. White conceding an unnecessary free kick down there just when Spurs were under pressure.
Well, superb from Brennan Johnson. Great defensive work. I'm just having a look at the replay of the epic. I'm not sure if it was on target. Possibly could have been, but Vicario wasn't to know. It bounces into the ground. I think that might have been nestled in the far post. It's a good reaction save from the Spurs keeper, with Jesus arriving at the back post on his left foot, kind of stubs the ball into the ground on the volley. It bounces up. It's a nice height for the keeper, gets a finger to it, but Brennan Johnson does brilliant to win that free kick there, John. They're under real pressure. He keeps the ball in and then just almost invites the contact from Ben White, a little bit over-eager to win the ball, and wins his team a free kick just to relieve that pressure.
As Udogie goes in on a challenge on Saka on the halfway line, and there are the cheers from Arsenal. It's a yellow card for Udogie, and it was inevitable that was going to come, and it's arrived in the 15th minute.
Well, we've just been discussing it, John, haven't we? Is that 3-3 now? I think it's 3-3 between them, but this is by far the worst challenge because it's late. And I just had a quick glance at the body language of Ange Postecoglou. He knew the yellow card was coming, and he knows what that means. Just looking at the floor, little shake of the head, and he knows that his young left back has to maintain real composure here because he's playing against one of the best in terms of using his body in Bukayo Saka, and he cannot afford to make another rash decision like that.
And in actual fact, Martin Odegaard got booked before Udogie was shown the yellow card, so clearly Odegaard has said something to referee Robert Jones, and he didn't like it, and he immediately showed him a yellow card. And I've just seen our friend Paddy from the Premier League has just walked over to Michael Salisbury, the fourth official, just to double check that, but I think he did. I think I saw double motion of the yellow card. So Odegaard and Udogie, so yellow card apiece. 0-0, still waiting for the opening goal. Oh, ball's played back carelessly by Udogie, and Nketiah from the angle, looking to nip it in at the bottom of the near post. Vicario stood up strong and deflected it around the post.
Well, it's a loose ball from Udogie. Van der Ven's not in the position to receive it. He can't pass that ball, and it's just the angle that keeps the ball out, really. It's such a tight angle for Nketiah to finish. Vicario stays nice and big, doesn't really go to ground early, and the ball just ricochets off his shin. But Udogie's been rattled here, John. We talked about first North London derby. Well, this is certainly a tester for him.
Corner for Arsenal. Saka plays it in. Little flick from Rice to the back post, where it's headed away by Udogie, who was over there on the far side of the penalty area. Arsenal still with it outside the penalty area. Zinchenko lifts it into the box. Jesus takes it down. It bounces away thanks to a touch from Sarr, and then a clearance from Vicario with Nketiah sliding in. But that clearance from Vicario set Tottenham away, but the ball's deflected out of play. In fact, it's been given as a free kick.
A foul by Son. I think Son just muscled. Zinchenko was about to go and head the ball, and he just bumped him without trying to play the ball, enough to put him off and miss it. The referee's pulled the play back for a free kick to Arsenal.
Free kick taken quickly by Arsenal, crossfield. Saka's done well to keep that bouncing ball in play, and then heads it past Udogie, and then deflects it away to the edge of the box. Johnson is tackled by Saka. Saka did an awful lot there in that particular passage of play. And Arsenal are back in possession near the halfway line. They go back into their own half. Another update from Anfield. Mike Maine.
Well, remember, Mikel Antonio this week in his podcast said West Ham will finish above Liverpool in the league. He nearly put them above on the score sheet. Lovely whipped-in ball from the right-hand side. Diving header. Didn't connect cleanly with it, and he went wide of the right-hand post. Liverpool 0 after quarter of an hour. West Ham 0.
Commentary on Sports Extra on BBC Sounds. More from Brighton Bournemouth. Flo Pollock.
0 Bournemouth 0. Ryan Christie with the best chance of the game, firing wide after a good Bournemouth move. Brighton 0, Bournemouth 0.
That is online. Chelsea Aston Villa likewise. Henry Moran.
Chelsea 0, Villa 0. Chelsea on top without really threatening Martinez's goal. Mudryk, Sterling causing problems, but so often the wrong option taken. We're getting to the final third. Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
Tottenham on the attack. Ball whipped across from the right. That's cleared away. Comes out. Sarr took a little while to get the ball under control. It was all very hurried, I'm afraid, from the Tottenham midfielder, and then he hurried the shot as well, which went flying away high over the bar, maybe 10 yards over the top. Back to Liverpool. Mike Maine.
Well, Liverpool have a penalty. Agard fouling Salah as he changed direction with his feet, and now Mo Salah, who's in fine form at the minute, scores for Liverpool, sends it down the middle. Areola dived down to his right, but Salah converts. It's another game where Salah has a goal involvement, and it's Liverpool 1, West Ham 0.
There we are, the first Premier League goal of this Sunday afternoon, and it is Mo Salah of Liverpool. Tottenham's next match is a 5 Live commentary match at home to Liverpool next Saturday tea time. So that'll be in amongst all of the Ryder Cup action. Here's Saka bringing the ball down the right-hand side. Saka with a ball at his feet, flicks it between the two Tottenham players to Odegaard, but then it bounces away through for a goal kick. He threaded it through the eye of the proverbial needle.
He did, and then he kind of doubled back. It was almost like a double bluff for Odegaard. He just couldn't see it early enough. Instead of going for the 1-2 and getting in behind to the byline, he threw a shimmy to come on the inside. It was just too late for Odegaard to respond, and he just side puts the ball into the empty space. But I mean, how has he squeezed that ball through there, John? I mean, it was barely at the width of a ball to get it through.
I love, Odegaard's skill and talent. I think he's got touches of Bergkamp about him.
Yeah.
But I think if Bergkamp had received that, I think he wouldn't have been surprised in the way that Odegaard was.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know him well.
Well, he was the Dutch master.
He was indeed.
No doubt.
Here's Saka down the right. Saka back towards Ben White. Definitely one of the best players I've seen play in the Premier League.
He's got similar movement to him, hasn't he? Like body shape and how he plays. It's very similar.
Blonde hair.
Yeah.
Back it comes.
Always helps.
It does. Here is Zinchenko, similarly, in fact more vividly blonde. Ball from halfway from Saliba. Saka again, they're looking for him all the time. Saka, Odegaard is there to pull the ball down and then tried to cross it. Excellent recovery from Udogie. And Udogie takes the ball away from Odegaard. He'll be feeling a lot better about himself after that as he comes up towards the halfway line. And Son, rather carelessly, coming back from an offside position. Free kick Arsenal.
Yeah, he'd made the early run, wanting the ball in behind, but Udogie quite rightly actually thought, I'm not just going to play this ball back to Arsenal, we'll try and keep possession. He's got a lovely feint about him, hasn't he? Kind of feints to do something, then chopped inside. Nice sway of the upper body to just throw the defending player off. He's got real talent, and going forwards he looks a real threat as well.
He does.
Udogie. It's just whether he can cope with this pressure situation. Like you say, they're trying to hit Saka all the time, Arsenal.
Yep, he's got a lot to his game, hasn't he? The Tottenham left back, but Arsenal have won it back. And Saka again in the action. Back it comes to Zinchenko, middle of the Tottenham half, as they attack towards the clock end. The famous clock hanging from the roof high, out of our sight actually. We're tucked away in the lower tier behind the dugouts. Ball back to the halfway line with Saliba, who overhits that, and it's out by a distance over the top of Saka. And that is a throw-in for Udogie to take. Dennis Bergkamp may well have been one of the best players to play in the Premier League. I think Destiny Udogie has to be one of the great names of the Premier League. Destiny Udogie. Had to be a star, didn't he, with a name like that?
It was his destiny, wasn't it?
It was. Throw into the halfway line. Son gets his header on it, and it's out of play for a throw-in again. Ange Postecoglou looks the picture of calm as he just moves from foot to foot with his hands in his pockets. Maddison's come deep, but he was shoved over by Odegaard, who is on a yellow card, by the way. That's confirmed. Odegaard and Udogie. Tottenham had to be quick there. Sarr and Bissouma, Arsenal were all over them, and indeed Jesus has won the ball back from Sarr, but his long legs are in there again. Sarr in against Jesus to just get in there in front of Jesus and deflect it out of play for a throw into Arsenal down the left-hand side. Back to Anfield, Mike Maine.
Well, Liverpool wanted another penalty. Nunez brought down in the box. Referee Chris Kavanagh quickly waved it away, and it resulted in a corner. Alisson's now come well out of his goal line and headed it behind for a cheap West Ham corner. This is a really, really lively game. West Ham have missed two-headed chances. Salah converting from the penalty spot. 20 minutes played. Liverpool 1, West Ham 0.
Warming up at Stamford Bridge as well, Henry Moran.
Chelsea 0, Villa 0. Almost a spectacular goal from Luca Dean. Dipping volley from distance, pushed over by a flying Sanchez. Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
And still Brighton 0, Bournemouth 0. And in the Solheim Cup, the latest score with the early matches finished, USA currently 10-9 up on Europe. It's the same as the Ryder Cup, same format. So Europe, as the holders, need 14 points to retain the trophy. So more from there shortly. But a free kick to Tottenham and a chance to relieve a bit of the pressure, and then they're not hurrying over this free kick, Matt Upson.
No, they've not had a lot of the ball, have they, in the last 10 minutes or so. It went forward to Son. Maddison got on it. He managed to win a foul from Vieira, just caught his heels, and they're now just really slowing it down, getting themselves set up nicely, Spurs, getting players in advanced positions. I mean, I don't know how much work that they've been able to do on set plays, but it's obviously a key area of the game, and they've got a great deliverer of the ball in James Maddison, standing right over it.
Here he is, James Maddison, Tottenham's new number 10. 2 goals so far for his new club. Curls in the free kick, it's headed away, and then Sarr swings a leg at it, left side of the area, which almost took it out for a throw-in halfway inside the Arsenal half on the far side, but it was kept in by Kulusevski. He's not got his sights quite right yet.
The shot went in the opposite way of the goal, John. Don't see that very often.
You do not. Here's Van der Ben on the halfway line. Bissouma wearing his shorts quite low, turns the ball towards the edge of the penalty area. Udogie against Saka. Saka just gets a touch in on that, and Udogie's out of position now as Arsenal come forward. Saka plays it up to Nketiah, still inside his own half. Saka then to Odegaard, very tight in there. Kulusevski's nipped it away, and Tottenham come back again. Tottenham with Kulusevski. Challenge beaten by Zinchenko, and now the counter-attack to the counter-attack to the counter-attack. Zinchenko halfway inside the Tottenham half, square from him. Odegaard 30 yards out, low ball to the right to Saka. Saka again against Udogie, onto his left foot, curls it, deflected in, goal! Oh, goal! Arsenal take the lead. A wicked deflection in off Romero. Vicario had no chance, but as soon as Saka found the space inside the penalty area on his left foot, there was big danger, big danger, and it's resulted in a goal for Arsenal. 1-0, Mikel Arteta leads against Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham.
Well, the Emirates has just erupted. Both teams staying in the pocket all the time, counter-attack, nobody really backing down, but Arsenal have that breakthrough, and it comes from Saka. He has been so influential in this first half. He's 1v1, he skips inside. There's just not enough pressure on the shot here from Spurs. Every player just takes a little step back. Not one person really engages with him, and that's the key problem, because Romero's in line of the goal. He's trying to block the ball, but he lifts his knee up, and I think the goalkeeper would save it if he just steps out of the way here, John. If he doesn't touch this ball, Vicario's just going to parry this ball away, but it hits him in the shin and flies into the near post. It's just all about Saka cutting inside on his left foot.
Saka's goal or own goal? We'll debate that in a moment, but while Arsenal were taking the lead here at the Emirates, there was also a goal scored in one of the other Premier League matches. It came at Brighton, Flo Pollock.
Bournemouth have scored 2, so it's Brighton 0, Bournemouth 1. Brighton made a mess of playing out at the back, and Dominic Solanke capitalised on the mistake to hit it into an empty net. Brighton 0, Bournemouth 1.
So Liverpool 1, West Ham 0, Brighton 0, Bournemouth 1, and here on 5 Live, Arsenal leading 1-0. Own goal or Saka's goal?
I'd need to see the angle from behind the far post, John, to really clearly tell, but it looked to me like the goalkeeper was going to make a save, so I would have to... My gut's telling me that it was on target, but until you see that shot from the angle, we're just getting a replay now. I mean, there's just not enough pressure that goes into Saka, who's allowed far too much time to hit it. It's on target for me. It looks on target. We've just got that reverse angle from the far post. Left foot curler, bending. Ooh, tell you what, it's an own goal.
I've just written it down as Bukayo Saka.
Looks an own goal.
Because I trust you.
It looks an own goal.
You've changed your mind.
Well, I just said you need the angle from behind the far post.
So not Saka.
No.
Romero own goal.
I think it's an own goal, but
I mean, that should be an own goal. With the best will in the world, it's had such a massive deflection.
It has.
That okay, we'll see what the Premier League say. That is the ultimate arbiter. We've got a stoppage here. The Emirates in great voice. Vieira's down receiving some treatment in the centre circle, so a warm buzz is just reverberating around the home sections of the stadium. So while that happens, let's see what is occurring down in Spain with Ian Carter at the Solheim Cup.
It's got to be Saka. I've got him in my fantasy team. It's all happening here. It's happening for Europe right now, John. Even though they trail 10-9 on the scoreboard, they're ahead in 5 of the matches out on the course as it stands at the moment. America ahead in 3, and Anna Nordqvist 2 up with 2 to play against Jennifer Kupcho. She's on the threshold of levelling it up at 10 points apiece.
Lovely, thanks Ian. So we'll be back with Ian very shortly. Listen to that via the BBC Sport website and app. So the only match without a goal in the Premier League, Chelsea, Aston Villa. Any sign of one, Henry Moran?
Yeah, good game this. Chelsea 0, Villa 0. Opportunity for Nicholas Jackson, released down the left for Chelsea, but Emi Martinez stretching out a right hand, diving the wrong way, just pushing it past the post. Good save, good chance. Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
I was reading yesterday, Nicholas Jackson's already received 4 yellow cards, all for dissent. That's an achievement. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 0. We think own goal. And here comes Vieira. Vieira carrying it from the halfway line. for Arsenal, but has to turn and give it back towards the halfway line. Of course, last week in their previous match, Tottenham were 1-0 down deep in added time and won the match. Here, 1-0 down early, with now almost half an hour on the clock. Here is Bukayo Saka, and the one thing, and in fact Saka takes it on again past Udogie, and then rolls it out to Vieira on the left-hand side. Vieira into the box, clips it across, Jesus at the back post, but it's chested behind, in front of him by Van de Ven for a corner.
Wow, Bukayo Saka just opening up this Spurs team at the moment, comes inside beautifully. The acceleration he uses to come inside and sees the pass out wide to Vieira, has one touch onto his left foot, dinks it to the back post, and Nketiah is waiting there just to head this one in, and it's really good defending from Van de Ven. Does his job well, just sees the run, drops to that back post area and just punches a header out for a corner, but lovely sweeping move from Arsenal.
So, corner for Arsenal. Saka, and it goes to the near post and it's headed up and back out the way it came. Bounces over the white line near the corner flag from Sarr's header. So a second consecutive corner for Arsenal from the right, and Saka to take this left-footed, just standing, just leaning, just rocking from foot to foot. Arsenal fans on their feet behind him, and in it goes again towards the back post. This one, header up and away for Tottenham. Vieira nods it back in, but there's not enough power on that. Headed it directly at goalkeeper Vicario, who was able to easily pick it up. So Arsenal 1, Tottenham 0. Arsenal, who are unbeaten in their last 12 home Premier League North London derbies against Tottenham. Tottenham have not won here in the league since 2010. Although they did have a League Cup win in that time, but in the league, the last victory here for Tottenham back in 2010. And Ange Postecoglou already up against it.
I mean, look at this press, John. I mean, there's 6 players in the Spurs defensive third.
Maddison caught in possession. And it's blazed over the bar by Jesus. And Maddison near the penalty spot dallied on the ball. Jesus was onto it, and he tried to take the back of the net off with the shot, but hit it over the top.
I mean, David Raya and Saliba threw themselves on the floor when that went over the crossbar. What a chance for Jesus. And we're just saying 6 Arsenal players in the Spurs defensive third pressing, and they're still playing out from the back. Spurs, they've got to be careful with the ball because Arsenal are fully committed.
I can't believe Maddison was so casual there.
Yeah,
and you're right. But at the other end, you immediately pointed out David Raya, who fell flat on his face. As Maddison at the other end, Kerr turns, Cruyff turned back onto his left foot and then concedes a foul on the edge of the penalty area, fouls Vieira, and it's a free kick to Arsenal.
I mean, I love the fact that you're still playing out. You've got your ethics, your philosophy about how you want to play. But if you're away from home in your Spurs and you've got an outlet where you can clip that ball longer, maybe from the keeper or from a centre-back, surely that has to sometimes be attacked, John. You can't keep trying to play out when you're probably 4 or 5v6. Arsenal probably outnumbered them in their defensive third, Spurs. The amount of players that are pressing high.
Van de Ven received it from Sarr, and he had to be sharp there to take it away from Romero and his pass downfield. As a result, Raya way out of his penalty area to clear it downfield. Arsenal, Declan Rice gets it down. Rice now driving forward, uses his England teammate Saka on the right hand side. My trusty app, by the way, the football app that I use, says Saka with a goal scorer, but not trusty enough, because the Premier League app, the all-knowing Premier League app, this is bad news for Ian Carter in Spain, by the way, and his fantasy team, the Premier League app says Romero own goal.
Well, that's what the Upson app said.
The Upson app was
so you didn't believe that, did you?
Well, the Upson app was a little bit...
Yeah, but...
easy-osy.
Yeah, well, I confirmed on the own goal.
Did you?
After the gut said it's Saka. I wanted to give it to Saka, but, you know...
But, going back to the scoring of the goal, that's the first time, really, that they let Saka get away. As here's Udogie. Udogie now slips it forward. Johnson could be onto this, but Saliba slides across. Huge cheers for him. We'll be singing his song, no doubt, very shortly, as they pass the ball to the left-hand side and out through the middle to Zinchenko. I thought so. Here we go. Zinchenko now out to the left. Here's Jesus cutting in field onto his right foot, 30 yards out, overhits that through to Vicario.
I'll tell you what, I do like the look of Arsenal defensively since they've gone back to Gabriel, Saliba, White at right back. For me, you know, I'm looking at this game, they are looking razor sharp, getting so tight. Saliba is anticipating, he's stepped in front of Son a couple of times when the ball's going to get cleared. He's read it earlier, that instinct that he has, and he's in front. He's so sharp across the ground. Good slide interception there, but I really do like the look of that back four.
So Arsenal 1-0 up on Tottenham. It's Brighton 0, Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 0, and Liverpool 1, West Ham 0 in the Premier League matches currently underway. Commentary on Sheffield United against Newcastle to come. And back to Spain and Ian Carter.
And a point for Europe. Anna Norquist closing out a 2-1 victory over Jennifer Kupcho. It now means it's 10 points apiece, with Europe up in 4 of the remaining matches. America ahead in 3.
That could be really tense. Really tense. It's been excellent. I was listening on Sunday afternoon, actually, when Europe had their fight back, and it was gripping. I hope it is just as exciting next week when we're all in Italy. Mark Chapman leading the team, Ian Carter, all of us out commentating on the course, on the matches, full-scale coverage from early Friday on 5 Live. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 0.
Must be one of your favourite events to work on,
honestly, John. Matt, it's an amazing event to be at, right from the off, as Johnson plays it forward to Udogie, but Saliba turned it back to Raya, who rolls his foot over the ball twice, even though Udogie is maybe 3-4 yards away from him, as he ran it across the 6-yard box. You know, to talk about Raya being comfortable with the ball at his feet, I mean, that doesn't tell half of it.
No, well, this, for me, it might be the biggest reason as to why the changes happen, because he brings something a little bit different. He's a bit more composed and a bit more creative with the ball.
I think the clue is, Stephen Warnock was saying before the game, here's Saka taking on and turning Van de Ven and playing it infield towards Odegaard, who curls it, but not enough whip on it, and Vicario is able to drop down to his left and actually catch the shot.
Well, I think Saka's got to go on the outside here. He's got Van de Ven 1v1, and there's a fair bit of space from him to the byline. He opts to go inside because he loves to, but I think he's got the beating of him on the outside there. He gets to that goal line, Spurs are in big trouble, but fortunately for them, he came inside and they were able to get pressure on that shot from Odegaard.
Arsenal 1, Tottenham 0. Back to West London, Stamford Bridge, Henry Moran.
Chelsea 0, Villa 0. Enzo Fernandez with a great chance for Chelsea. Good work from Gusto, but he sliced the opportunity wide. Only Luton and Everton have a worse shot conversion than Chelsea. It does look that well. Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
Space for Tottenham now. Son playing it to Kulusevski on the right-hand side. Johnson in the area. Madison's getting there. Still Kulusevski on the ball. There's Son on the overlap. Pulls it across. Johnson! Oh, what a save from Raya! Diving to his right, clawed it away. That seemed certain Tottenham equaliser for Johnson, but Raya makes a thrilling save.
Well, for one of the first times, Spurs get the overlap wide of the pitch. They make good use of it. The ball comes across. Whether or not there's just not quite enough pace on the shot, John, I don't think he gets a full connection. The direction's great. It's going in the corner, but not enough power. Gives Raya a chance, but he really does take that chance, doesn't he? It was really athletic, great anticipation, good hand, great save from Raya.
Tottenham's move of the match as well.
Definitely. The first time they've had that real overload, they worked it brilliantly out wide. Son made the overlap, got to the byline and really did pick out a good ball.
Tottenham again through the middle. It's slipped forward by Porro, looking for Son. Arsenal have half cleared it. Rice, though, does exceptionally well on the edge of the area to control and quickly pass it back where it's cleared by Gabriel. And then Nketiah goes down on the halfway line, but that's given only as a Tottenham throw. Ange Postecoglou still has that air of calm about him.
He's not got the pacing around of Arteta, has he? He's not done as many steps as him in that technical area, John, I wouldn't say. He's very hands in pockets, just watching the game.
Arteta very often is the very opposite of calm, isn't he? He's like the proverbial cat on the hot tin roof. As Tottenham have it with Johnson, big chance he just had. Here's Sarr again, square from him to Bissouma, and then Bissouma very casually flicks it right-footed. And then Romero, scorer, the unfortunate scorer of the own goal, to Son, but it deflects back into the area for Arsenal, and they're very comfortable, the Arsenal defenders. Early days with Raya behind them, but they, you can tell there from Gabriel so confident that he knows if he passes it back to Raya, almost in any circumstances, that he's going to be able to deal with it comfortably.
No, you can fire the ball into him. His first touch is good. I mean, he's been standing very high up as well, almost like another centre-back to have the ball.
Johnson for Tottenham again, swings the ball across and Raya dives forward and grabs the ball into his chest. 2 clean sheets in his 2 matches so far. Mind you, I think you could have kept a clean sheet at Goodison Park for Arsenal last weekend. And I'm not sure it was very much different against PSV in the week, but that save that he made from Johnson made a lot of ground. As Matt said, Johnson didn't get the connection on it that he should have buried it. But what have you spotted? The television cameras have picked up Aaron Ramsdale sitting on the bench, applauding, hands above his head, for the Raya save.
Looked a genuine clap that as well, John.
Well, you know, Aaron
Ramsdale
would not necessarily know that was going to get picked up by the television camera.
Absolutely not. All part of the same team. And that has to be the ethics. All these decisions, players are used to these decisions. They happen week in, week out. You lose your position, you fight and you get it back. That's the mentality of the squad. It's a little bit different for the keepers, but that is still the mentality.
Bissouma almost caught in possession. Vieira. Then it's back to Nketiah. Might have been fouled by Pedro Porro. No. Tottenham go back to their goalkeeper. But that reaction from Ramsdale, we'll be talking about that. They'll be talking about that on the Monday Night Club. I guarantee you that, because that was a massive indication of Aaron Ramsdale's character.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that, you know, the goalkeepers have a different bond as well, don't they? They're a little bit more isolated with how they work together as a team.
Here's Kulusevski on the right-hand side, receiving it from Maddison. 2 Arsenal players on him. Arsenal 1-0 up. The Romero own goal. Cross from the right, Raya comes through, gets a hand to it, falls to Johnson. Johnson shoots, blocked by the goalkeeper, comes out again, and he couldn't get the bouncing ball under control. Another chance for Johnson, another save from Raya, and then Maddison wriggles away, pulls the ball back, and it's in! Son drives it in, left-footed, edge of the 6-yard box, and Arsenal have cracked. Raya is beaten, and it's Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1.
Well, it's a seriously messy passage of play from Arsenal. We've just given David Raya plenty of praise for his save a moment ago, but he won't want to watch this one back. It looked to me like he had a little bit of a flap at the initial ball, doesn't get enough clearance on the back post. He opts to go for it. He maybe could have left it and just tipped it wide, but doesn't get a particularly good hand on that. Ben White can't react, it ricochets back out, but then it's all about James Maddison. Picks up the ball wide, uses his body to shield it, gets around Saka, his pace to the byline, cuts it back to Son. There's 3 Arsenal defenders, all in exactly the same spot, but the run of Son is just right into the middle of all 3 of them. It's like perfection. The cut back from Maddison, there is not a lot of space to get that ball in, but it's inch perfect, the timing's perfect, and it's a glancing side foot with his left foot off the far post and in the back of the net.
Really good finish from Son. To get there, as Matt says, in between the 3 Arsenal players on the edge of the 6-yard box and make that contact and drive it in across goal, in off the foot of the far post. You know, that was high quality for his 4th goal of the season. And there, in that move, Tottenham were just too sharp for Arsenal. And it's 1-1. Back to Anfield, Mike Maine.
Yeah, big chance for Mo Salah, his and Liverpool's second. Could have been just a few moments ago. West Ham failed to clear from a goal kick. Salah right-hand side, 18 yards out, tried to bend it to the left, but wide. 5 from half-time, Liverpool 1, West Ham 0.
Around them all again, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Henry Moran.
Still goalless, a minute or so until the break. Chelsea thought they had the lead. Dizazi's header beating Martinez, but the flag was up on the far side. It remains goalless. Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
And now Brighton still tottering again after their European defeat on Thursday night. Flo Pollock.
They look tired, Brighton. It's Brighton 0, Bournemouth 1, and Bournemouth are very much on top. They're having all the possession and all the chances. Brighton have had maybe 2 shots on target. Brighton 0, Bournemouth 1.
So Brighton tottering, but Tottenham not tottering anymore. And they've got the ball at the back with Romero. And it's the Tottenham fans you can hear. It's that sort of distant sound of the Tottenham fans from their far corner, singing their songs as the Arsenal supporters now respond. Spurs with it at the back, passed out to Bissouma. Maddison not far away from where he was dispossessed by Jesus, who had a glorious opportunity to make it 2-0, but hit it over the top of the crossbar. Back to Liverpool, McMiney.
Well, West Ham have equalised. They've threatened with headers all afternoon. This one, Jared Bowen diving almost on the penalty spot, hits the post, goes in past Alisson. Liverpool 1, West Ham 1.
So West Ham draw level shortly after Tottenham drew level here at the Emirates. And that's a bit of a shock to the system for the Arsenal supporters, Matt.
It is, because they were really the team pushing, probing, applying all the pressure. But as we know, Spurs have always got that capability. When you've got players like Son and Maddison and Brennan Johnson's pace, they're more than capable of hitting that little counter-attack or just catching you on the break a little bit out of shape.
Well, it's not disappointed. 4 minutes of added time. Arsenal taking the lead through the Saka shot that was deflected in by Romero, but Son with equaliser, and then there's a foul, but referee Jones is going to play the advantage. Tottenham man brought down Udogie, who's still down, but then Tottenham lose possession. Sarr, and then Sarr wrestles Jesus. I mean, he's wrestled him, he's dragged him back, and then he's upended him, thrown him to the ground, and that was a yellow card, and it's also a yellow card shown.
I think for the foul on Udogie, wasn't it? I didn't see who it was.
No, it can't be Odegaard.
I didn't see the foul on who it was, but I think he's brought that back for that foul, which to me, John, I'm not sure if that was. It just looked. I think it was might have been Ben White. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but I didn't think that particularly was a. I don't think it particularly was a yellow card. That he's just pulling out of a tackle, and he just catches him.
Stepped on his foot.
Yeah, he just catches him, and it's not a yellow card offence. He doesn't need to bring that. I think the referee's just.
So that's
got
2 each
now.
Yeah, 2 each. White and Odegaard, Sarr and Udogie. Free kick to the left of the centre circle for Tottenham.
It's been a competitive affair, hasn't it? As you'd expect, a North London derby, but not so much the real over-the-top physical contact, more just the intensity of the way players are snapping at each other's heels, any loose ball, the kind of pressure that Arsenal were trying to apply. It is immense at times.
Correction, we think it was Bissouma who was yellow carded for something he said, and not Ben White.
I was going to say it would have been really harsh. It would have been really harsh for Ben White, and maybe we'll check it, but to get a yellow card for that challenge on Udogie would have been very, very hard on Ben White.
Back to Brighton, Flo Pollock.
Brighton have equalised. It's Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1. The ball was swung in, and I think it's gone off a Bournemouth player into the back of their own net. Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1.
Yeah, confirmation. Bissouma booked for, well, presumably dissent. So it's actually not 2-2. It's 3-1 to Tottenham on the yellow cards. 1-1 is the match score. So all of these 4 Premier League matches currently being played are level, and in fact it's half-time at Stamford Bridge. Henry Moran.
Half-time, Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 0. Not quite sure how. Both sides creating chances, really entertaining game, but at the break, Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
So 0-0 at Stamford Bridge, and the 2 Premiership matches in Scotland will be kicking off at 3 o'clock, so not far away from then. Likewise Sunderland Cardiff. There is a 6:06, by the way, today, just an hour of 6:06 before the big match tonight at the Rugby Union World Cup. Wales-Australia, 5 Live, the place to hear that, live from Lyon. It did tickle me before the game, talking about what a lovely way Ange Postecoglou has of saying mate, how everyone loves that. Yet when Eddie Jones calls people mate, no one seems to like it. Very strange that, isn't it? Ball's out of play for a throw into Tottenham in the right back position.
Are you kind of feeling that it's more about not what you say, but maybe
how you say it, perhaps, or perhaps how you're perceived?
Maybe. Yep. So it's slightly different tones, haven't they?
Arsenal, right, they say go on, have a go, which he does, but he's got right underneath that, and he's actually landed it just behind where all of those Tottenham fans in the black shirts, you know, the new breed of Arsenal ultras are all gathered in together. That's where the big banners were up before the game.
Is that there every time? I've seen that before, John. That little black cluster.
It's now a thing.
Is it?
Yes, it's a bit like North London Forever.
Right.
It's a new innovation.
Okay.
Or a recent innovation. So Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1. Half-time on the way. We'll round up all of yet another busy day's sport for you at half-time. Scotland-Tonga, by the way, the earlier match at the Rugby Union World Cup. That will be on Sports Extra. I think I'm right in saying. Yes. It's all very confusing. Anyway, there's the half-time whistle. 1-1 the score, and it didn't disappoint Matt Upson.
No, it really didn't disappoint, to be honest. I mean, Arsenal out the blocks as you'd expect. The atmosphere was hyped. I thought Spurs were very brave the way they handled the ball. They didn't, cave in that at all. Udogie, Saka, that's the battle of the first half, really, with his yellow card and under real pressure. But it's very evenly poised, John. It's going to be an interesting second half.
Yep, the Saka shot that was deflected in for the Romero own goal for Arsenal, who were for the most part the better team, but a really good response and a fine goal from Tottenham for Son. So Arsenal won, Tottenham won at half-time here at the Emirates, and Steve Crossman is sitting here just to my left.
Thanks, mate.
That's all right, mate.
Matt, that was absolutely frenetic. Absolutely frenetic. Whenever a big tackle went in from a Tottenham player, the way the Arsenal fans stood up around us here, it was like every little sort of nudge and simple free kick was a two-footed stamp, and I'm sure it was the same with the Tottenham fans opposite us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's as you'd expect. Everything's so hyped, isn't it? Everything's, all the senses are heightened, both off the field and on the field, by the way, because the intensity they've just played that 45 minutes at, they'll be sat down having a drink and just having a breather, because the pressure that Arsenal tried to apply, 6-7 maybe players, certainly in the attacking half, or shall we say the Spurs defensive half, or even defensive third at times, pressing that high. I mean, it was a real gamble at times from Arteta.
Incredible sound inside this stadium. Arsenal won, Tottenham won at half-time. Right, let's get some more considered thoughts on the other half-times in the Premier League. We'll start with the match between Brighton and Bournemouth. Flo Pollock.
Half-time, it's Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1. Brighton looking lacklustre and some sloppy play at the back. Gifted Dominic Solanke a goal early on. But Brighton got level just before the break. A whipped-in ball by Billy Gilmour was turned into his own net by Milos Kerkez. An own goal for the Bournemouth man. At the break, it's Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1.
Any sign of Chelsea being able to get a goal at home to Aston Villa, Henry Moran?
Chelsea 0, Villa 0. I'm not quite sure how. Both sides could have scored at least a couple. Chelsea's frustrations in front of goal continue, but they have played with purpose and threat. Mudryk, Sterling making good runs on either flank, but Jackson up front hasn't quite looked like the number 9 that Chelsea need. Aston Villa, meanwhile, have probably come closest to finding that goal. Zaniolo's volley brilliantly tipped over by Sanchez. There was one moment the ball was in the back of the net for Chelsea. Disasi's powerful header quite clearly offside, so celebrations had to stop rather swiftly. Bizarre end to the half. 3 minutes added time signalled. One was played. Half-time whistle blown. Explain that one. Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
We got underway slightly late at Anfield. Are we still going, Mike Miner?
We are. Liverpool 1, West Ham 1 into 4 minutes of added time, and Liverpool ending the half strongly as a player goes down just outside the box, but the Anfield crowd will tell you just which way that went. Free kick to West Ham outside their own penalty area. Salah with the penalty, Bowen with the header to equalise. We're closing in on half-time, 1-1.
Thank you very much, Mike. We'll let you know exactly when the half-time whistle goes. Coming up shortly, we'll be talking a little bit of boxing. We're going to hear from Joe Joyce. Max Verstappen won the Japanese Grand Prix earlier today, helping Red Bull win the Constructors' title. He's now 177 points clear at the top of the championship. We'll also be to the afternoon kickoff in the championship, Sunderland versus Cardiff. We will look ahead to Rangers versus Motherwell, and we'll be checking in on the Solheim Cup as well. The half-time whistle has now gone at Anfield. It's Liverpool 1, West Ham United 1. We'll look ahead to the 4:30 kickoff in the Premier League as well, which will bring you in full. Sheffield United versus Newcastle. We'll do all of that after the news with Dan Maudsley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has ordered a review of armed policing after a number of Met Police officers stepped back from firearm duties. It's in response to a marksman being charged with the murder of Chris Cabber in South London last year. Ms Braverman said officers must not fear ending up in the dock after having to make split-second decisions. The Defence Secretary, Grant Shapps, has said it would be irresponsible to keep spending money on the HS2 rail line. The government said it's committed to the project, but has refused to confirm whether the Birmingham to Manchester leg of the route will be built. BBC News understands the decision will be made this week. The Labour Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, told Sky News' Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips the north of England was being unfairly treated.
Why is it always that people here are forced to choose, that we can't have everything? You can have this or you can have that, but you can't have everything. London never has to choose between a north-south line and an east-west line and good public transport within the city. Why is it that people in the north are always forced to choose? Why are we always treated as second-class citizens when it comes to transport.
Security forces in Kosovo have surrounded at least 30 armed gunmen in a monastery in a northern village where hours earlier a police officer was shot dead. Kosovo's Prime Minister has accused Serbia of backing what he called a terrorist attack that also injured another officer. Tensions have been running high in the country after violent clashes followed a disputed local election in May. And NASA is awaiting a delivery of asteroid dust, which could reveal new details about how the planets were formed. A probe was released from a spacecraft earlier and will land in the US state of Utah at around 4 p.m. Our science correspondent, Rebecca Morrell, is waiting for the landing in Salt Lake City.
That final descent is going to be perilous. It will be travelling at 27,000 miles an hour through the atmosphere, experiencing temperatures of 3,000 degrees Celsius. After that, 2 parachutes will open and hopefully that will take it down for a soft landing.
Rebecca Morrell waiting patiently in Salt Lake City there.
Is that the Leicester locomotive coming in?
Hello, Radio 2 in the park. Tears for
Leicester, you were incredible. Don't miss a single moment from Victoria Park.
Radio 2 in the field. Everybody knows this one. Oh, come on, Leicester. Let me hear you.
Radio 2 in the park.
Leicester.
What a weekend!
Experience the roar of the Victoria Park crowd for yourself.
Yes, Leicester.
Just search Radio 2 in the park.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Watch on iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Remember, you can listen to all of the 2 o'clock games in the Premier League between 5 Live, BBC Sounds and the BBC Sport website. They are all level. Arsenal, Spurs, Brighton, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Liverpool, West Ham, all drawing at half-time. And it's also all square on the final day of the Solheim Cup in Spain. Catherine Downs is there.
Yes, Steve, it could not be tighter here at the Costa del Sol. 4 matches completed, 2 of them going the way of the USA, 2 of them going the way of Europe. And of the matches out on the course still, 4 going the way of Europe and 4 going the way of the USA. This is super dramatic stuff, Lydia Hall.
This is the edge of the seat stuff. If you need to go to the bathroom, you need to make a cup of tea, need to make lunch, don't do it, because this is on a knife edge. It could go either way here.
Where's the momentum going? Because so often it's all about those shifts in momentum. The roars for Europe carrying the players forward, then the USA pegged them back. Where's the momentum at the moment? Because you cannot drive a paper between these 2 teams.
You can't. What I will say is that you've got a couple of matches in favour in the American side, Vu being 3 up and Thompson being 2 up. On the European side, our matches are only 1 up, so they are really, really tight. So I'd say at the moment, unfortunately, the USA have got a slight advantage in a couple of matches.
So it's all evenly balanced here, Steve. Everything on the course is equally divided between the USA and Europe, and then the scores as well, 10-10. We came into this final day's singles at 8-8, a share of the spoils so far, 10 points each between the USA and Europe. Europe need 4 more points to retain the cup, and the USA need 4.5 more points to win the cup, and it is going to go down to the wire. It is so exciting. It's such a superb showcase of women's golf here on the Costa del Sol.
And if you want to listen to commentary of it, you can do that right now via the BBC Sport website and app. Our feature game in the Scottish Premiership this afternoon is a couple of minutes away from getting underway. 3rd versus 4th, Rangers against Motherwell. Gavin Wallace.
Afternoon, Steve. The visitors will be hoping Rangers struggle after their midweek endeavours of the Europa League. Rangers beating the Real Betis Spanish heat. It's muggy here in Glasgow, 18 degrees, so Michael Beale's men will be wanting to keep building momentum as they look to leapfrog Motherwell, who are a place and a point ahead of them in the league, as you say. However, the visitors remain unbeaten on the road under Stuart Kettlewell. Not even Ange Postecoglou could beat them. Rangers with 3 changes from midweek. Wright, Lammers and Dessers in. Sima and Ruth are benched. Lawrence is injured. And Paul McGinn returns from suspension for Motherwell as we're about to get underway here at Ibrox.
Also underway in the next minute in the game between Aberdeen and Ross County. In the early match in the Championship, it finished Stoke City 1, Hull City 3, seconds away from kick-off at the Stadium of Light for Sunderland Cardiff. Shojo Saka.
Yes, Tony Mowbray says his young Sunderland side are a better team than the one which made such a late surge into the playoffs last season. Well, the league table backs up his proclamation. A win today would be 4 in a row for Sunderland. It would take them back up up to 4th in the Championship. Mowbray sticks with the same starting 11 that beat Blackburn on Wednesday. Mid-table Cardiff have won their last 2, but away from home they have only managed 1 point in 9 so far this season. Just one change for Cardiff today. Yaku Meta comes in for Ollie Tanner on the right wing.
Away from the football, Max Verstappen won the Japanese Grand Prix. You can get more reaction on our Checkered Flag podcast on BBC Sounds. British boxer Joe Joyce says he's not retiring after he was beaten by China's Zhilei Zhang in their heavyweight rematch. Manveer Rai spoke to him after the fight.
It was a tough fight, but I don't feel too damaged or anything from it. I feel like I've had harder spars, but it's just unfortunate that I gave him the opportunity in the first place. So just disappointed and going to have to, take a bit of time off before I come back, and I'll be back bigger and stronger for some other fights.
Joe, I have to ask, are you considering retiring?
Definitely not ready to retire yet. Still got more big fights, and it's heavyweight division is an exciting division, and there's plenty of fights to make. So I don't feel too bad. I'm not, fitness-wise, I still feel good. I got caught with a good shot, but there's boxing, isn't it? It's I'm a tough man. I've come from rugby from the age of 6, so I've taken hard knocks and I've had harder spars. Credit to Zhang though, he's very skilled, and I gave him the opportunity, so I'm interested to see his next fight, and good luck to him.
We're just a couple of minutes away from the second half kicking off here at the Emirates in the North London derby. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1. And remember, once we're done here, we'll bring you full commentary at 4:30 of Sheffield United versus Newcastle. Correspondent John Murray and the former England defender Matt Upson are alongside me inside the stadium. What a sliding doors moment, Matt, that was for James Maddison in that first half. Nearly gifted Jesus a goal. Few minutes later creates the equaliser.
Yeah, it was very much how Spurs were under pressure. He got the ball rolled into him and he just didn't seem quite aware of what was happening around him. There was a full press from Arsenal and he's very loose, and Jesus really should punish him for that. He should have hit the target. It's poor that he hits it over the bar. He just put too much power into it, but that is James Maddison. I like the bravery that Spurs have had, in fairness to them. They've not shied from having the ball, even though it's intense pressure. They're in their own defensive third. They're all showing to have the ball, and you have to respect that. And the manager will always say, it's my fault, it's on me, I want you to do this, no fear. That's his message, and you can see that kind of just starting to play out in the Spurs players in this kind of environment,
which is worthy of further discussion, because in that interview with Gary Lineker, Ange Postecoglou said, this is the way I will play football come hell or high water, which is easy to say, but when you've got young players, Udogie's 20, Van der Ven's 22, in your back four, in a North London derby, in this pressure cooker, walking the walk is another thing.
Absolutely, and Udogie, for me, has been an interesting performance in that first half, some good things, but also you can see a little element of a bit of a shock. And he's playing up against such an experienced player in Saka in these situations. He is a hard player to play against. So he's done okay on this left-hand side. He's got that yellow card, which puts him on a little bit tender hooks. But they're all having the ball. You can see that the manager's clearly saying, I want no fear in this team. Nobody is shying away from this ball. If it goes wrong, it's because I've asked you to do something that might not be quite right. It's on me. So nobody fear that it's going to go, a black mark in the book against their name.
Surely the one thing that he'd have said, Postecoglou, to the Tottenham players, to Udogie, was do not let Saka cut inside into the penalty area on his left foot. And in fairness to Udogie, he only let it happen once.
Yeah,
but that led to the goal.
Yeah, it did, and there was just no one around him. They'd got a little bit stretched, hadn't they? It was like a counter of a counter, and Arsenal do that so well. They really did shift the ball wide quickly, and the space was there, and Saka took it.
Tottenham players already out in a few moments. The Arsenal players will join them on the pitch here at the Emirates. I'm also, Matt, going to be having a little look at the yellow card count as the second half goes on as well, because what was really interesting is when Bissouma got that yellow card for dissent, as soon as he moved to the referee, 3 or 4 Spurs players tried to jump on him to stop him getting close enough to say something he shouldn't. But it was too late.
Yeah, you don't even have to say anything. Ask Ollie McBurney if you have to say anything. It's more about the intent, the body language, the way you want to go and engage with the referee to converse with him. And if it's done in a manner that is aggressive in any way or a little bit too much, you'll get the yellow card. So nothing's actually got to come out of your mouth, Steve, to get that yellow card. You have to be really careful and give it some thought, and that is the message from the PGMOL, and that they want to hammer that home.
There's been an early chance for Chelsea at the start of the second half at Stamford Bridge. Henry Moran.
Still Chelsea 0, Villa 0, but Raheem Sterling's pace down the right-hand side, creating the opportunity. Save well smothered by Emi Martinez, who's lying in a bit of a heap over to the right-hand side, getting some attention from Villa's team and physios. We'll wait to see the outcome of that, but a good chance early in the second half for Chelsea. It remains Chelsea 0, Villa 0.
You can listen to that in full on the BBC Sport website and app. The same is true of Brighton's game against Bournemouth. That's level. We're level all over the board. 5 Sports Extra for Liverpool versus West Ham. Sheffield United, Newcastle to come at 4:30. But we got another half of the North London derby first. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1, and changes. John Murray.
Yes, we start the second half with some big substitute news from Arsenal, because Declan Rice has not come out for the start of the second half. Jorginho is coming on from him, and you have to assume that that's an injury.
Yep.
And Fabio Vieira also replaced by Kai Havertz. Second half about to begin here. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1. But as Arsenal kick off, it's back to Brighton. Flo Pollock.
Talking of substitutes making a difference, Brighton 2, Bournemouth 1. From the kick-off, the 2 substitutes, Ansu Fati and Karo Matoma, combined to score. Brighton 2, Bournemouth 1.
Matoma in the goals again. Brighton have turned it around, not tottering anymore. And here, second half begins. Arsenal kicking off, red shirts with the white sleeves, white shorts and white socks. The point was rather amusingly made in midweek how enjoyable it was for some Arsenal fans to see Harry Kane playing in red and white. Here's Jesus playing the ball into the edge of the area. Now back to Jesus, who is stumbled into by Sarr. No free kick, and then Sarr stands up to the challenge that comes in on him from the newly arrived Jorginho, but it is a goal kick to Tottenham. Yes, anyone who's got any interest in Arsenal and Tottenham wants to be here today, watching this, savouring this. The first half absolutely flew past. It lived up to expectations. I suppose the one man who's not here is that man Harry Kane, who of course, and he's already sent out a post today, he's actually watching at Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest has been a theme of the week, and he had a big stein in his hand, and following events, as the record scorer in North London derbies is now thousands of miles away.
He would have enjoyed this system as well, I think, and that's a shame, because I think he would have really enjoyed and relished dropping deep in this Spurs team that are going to, be a little bit more expansive, a little bit more on the front foot, and I think they've used him really well. I mean, it's been a great move for him.
Yeah, mind you, I was there in midweek, and I think he'll enjoy playing with Musiala and Sané and Gnabry and Coleman.
He'll enjoy
as well.
He'll enjoy a stein in his hand as well.
He certainly will. I don't know whether he was cradling his match ball after his hat-trick yesterday. 8 goals in 7 appearances. Anyway, that's Harry Kane. Tottenham don't need to worry about him at the moment. They need to think about this. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1, with Raya in goal for Arsenal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko, and then this new look midfield for the second half, Jorginho with Odegaard and Havertz, so 2 subs on there, Saka and Nketiah and Jesus. And Tottenham, as they started, Vicario in goal, then Porro, Romero, Van de Ven and Udogi, Sarr and Bissouma, Kulusevski, Maddison, Johnson and Son. Johnson, who was involved in the goal, but before that had a good chance to score one of his own on his full debut. The recent signing for best part of £50 million from Nottingham Forest, Brennan Johnson, the 22-year-old who starts for Spurs for the first time, number 22 on his back. But Arsenal in possession inside their own half on this bright, dry afternoon. Overcast just now as Havertz carries it forward and flicks the ball with the outside of his left boot to Jesus, and then back centrally towards Zinchenko. Big choice of listening, by the way, right now. All of the matches being played in the Premier League today are on 5 Live, Sports Extra or online. Tottenham have won it back. Johnson's carried it from the halfway line. Johnson goes into the area, but Saliba stood up well, got a little touch on the ball. The 2 players came together, kept their feet, and Johnson has to play it back towards the halfway line.
He does cover that ground well, Saliba, I will say. I mean, Johnson's just trying to lure him out, waiting for him to come and then touch the ball past him, but he bides his time really well.
Long ball forward from Maddison on the stretch. Ball hit by Romero on the halfway line. Maddison couldn't pull it down. It bounced through to Raya.
It looked offside, but Flag stayed down. Whether or not he'd have brought it down and stuck it in the back of the net, we'll have to wait and see. But
yeah, 3 o'clock kickoffs will be underway very shortly as well. Already it's finished Stoke City 1, Hull City 3. Another very good result for Hull City. So Sunderland Cardiff will be underway shortly. Saka down the right hand side, applause for him as he wins a corner for Arsenal. First of the second half, as the television cameras pick out Declan Rice, who is sitting in an anorak on the bench. So we'll obviously need to find out from Mikel Arteta exactly what the state of play is with Declan Rice, but you have to assume it's an injury. Corner for Arsenal then. Saka to take this. Packed penalty area. Arsenal players group towards the back post. Then several of them run towards the near. It's glanced on, flicked down, shot on the turn from White. Claims that it's in an arm as it was blocked on the edge of the area. Odegaard drives it in. That's been blocked as well, and the ball bounces away. And Arsenal's players walking towards the referee, Robert Jones, and there's an air of certainty from those Arsenal players that White's shot on the turn struck the outstretched arm of Romero in the 6-yard box, and
it certainly does.
It looks like a penalty.
Well, I mean, where do you go with these handballs, John? I mean, we saw one yesterday at Luton, which was ludicrous. This one, it bounces up, it goes off the ground onto his arm. But look at the proximity, John. It's 2 feet away.
Off Maddison as well.
It's 2 feet away. In my view, that's not handball.
However,
because
it might have been goal bound.
Yeah, but even so, John, his arm is in a natural position for the movement that he's making. He's making a lunge to block the ball. His arms are not going to be by his sides.
After yesterday, I will be surprised if this is not given as a penalty.
I will be, but I think it's wrong. I don't think it is a penalty.
Referee Jones is just getting the instruction from Michael Salisbury, who is the video assistant referee.
Is the ricochet off the ground?
I think it's off the ground and Maddison.
Because, if the ball's bouncing off the ground a foot away from you and it comes up and hits you on the hand, whether or not your arm's a little bit outstretched or by your side, what can you do about that, John?
Well, Odegaard is expecting a penalty. We had this in the last match here, didn't we?
He's going to the screen.
Against Manchester United. Odegaard waiting to take it. And yes, he's running directly towards us here to look at the screen. The Arsenal fans are beckoning him towards them. They're saying, come on, Robert, have a look at this, and then give Arsenal the penalty.
Well, this gives the on-field referee the ability to make this judgment. And I think if he looks at this rationally and sees the deflection off the ground, maybe off of Maddison, I mean, it's a 50-50 call for me. He could depends what his interpretation of that is. But for me, I think it's so harsh on defenders to give penalties for things like this.
There's the influence as well of what happened yesterday, the deflection in the Luton Wolves match. And so there's a long conversation going on. There's the rectangle. The Arsenal fans know that means he's pointing to the spot, and it's a penalty to Arsenal.
Well, Romero is shaking his head. He's not had the greatest of North London derbies with an own goal to his name, and now the handball. But I have to say, he's done nothing wrong. He's just in a position. He's lunging out to block it. Ange Postecoglou is having a chuckle, almost laughing at it, and I get it. I would kind of get both reactions to a degree, but I understand their position a little bit more because it's so harsh on Romero.
Yeah, well, it's going to lead to another big debate again on the programme today, 6:06 tonight, Monday Night Club tomorrow, about these deflections for handballs. However, it's a penalty, and it's not Odegaard. Odegaard has handed the ball to Saka. So the chopping and changing of the Arsenal penalty takers continues, and it's Bukayo Saka, whose shot was deflected in for the opening goal, the own goal. Saka waiting, left foot penalty, 1, 2, 3 big strides back, behind and to the right of the ball, and he's up against Guglielmo Vicario of Tottenham. Saka left footed, right down the middle, high into the net, and Arsenal are back in front in the North London derby. 2-1 the lead against Tottenham, and Ange Postecoglou shakes his head down there at the awarding of the penalty.
Well, that is a penalty of a player in supreme confident form, Bukayo Saka. That is cool as you like. He has gone straight down the middle, but taken a little bit off it as well, John. It's not a full blast of power to take this in. He's literally watching Vicario, sees him make that move to the right-hand side, and it's such a lovely, controlled, not a dink, it wasn't like a chip, but it was just gently caressed, curled, straight down near the roof of the net, middle of the goal, knows the goalkeeper's diving. Very cool penalty.
Cool penalty, that one, from Bukayo Saka, who, remember, hadn't taken a penalty as a professional footballer until the final of the Euros. That was his first one. We all know what happened there. But since then, he's become something of a master of the art, actually.
Unbelievable, John. To think that is your first penalty. That is a welcome to the game, isn't it, under that kind of pressure. Any penalty from then on out is an easy one in Bukayo Saka's mind, and he certainly made that look easy.
Yeah, well, no app is taking that goal away from him. So we can now say that is his fourth of the season. But Tottenham have won it back. Maddison to Son. Son rolls it in, right-footed. Instant response, Tottenham. It's Son again, and now it's 2-2. What were Arsenal thinking about? But Tottenham took full advantage. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. And for the second time, Spurs come back from a goal down.
Well, Jorginho just wants the ground to open up and swallow him at the moment. What a mistake. I mean, in fairness to him, he's a player coming off the bench in this kind of situation with very little game time in that position, and he's got to be up to speed, and he just makes the judgment all wrong. He receives the ball, he's under pressure. Instead of just offloading it or finding a pass or even turning his body like he does so well and uses his body as a screen, he just tries to chop the ball between his feet, almost to go past two players. He just hasn't got the thought process up to speed. He gets robbed by Maddison, and from then on it's a formality. Son is wide on the right, lovely run, slides him the ball, and it's just a simple side foot across the goal, caressing the ball into the far post corner. But it's just all about Jorginho. He's just not ready for this kind of occasion, and he makes a terrible error with the ball.
Well, that's a nightmare, a footballing nightmare for Jorginho, just into the action. But dreamland for Tottenham, 2-2 to Stamford Bridge. Henry Moran, what's happened there?
Nightmare for Chelsea, who are down to 10 men approaching the hour mark. Malo Gusto's rash challenge, initially given as a yellow card. VAR checked it, changed to a red card for serious foul play. They didn't like it, the Chelsea supporters. They're going to have to lump it as we see a shot coming in and just deflected wide for Aston Villa, who will feel this is a chance. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 0.
Kai Havertz is the latest man to be booked here. A foul on Son near the halfway line. So Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2, just over half an hour to play. Continuing around the other 2 o'clock kickoffs to Anfield again. Mike Maine.
Liverpool 1, West Ham 1. West Ham with a dangerous free kick, headed down and saved on the line by Alisson. Huge chance for Liverpool. Nunez got the ball in space on the penalty spot from Mo Salah, turned to face goal and fired wide at the right hand post. Massive chance for Liverpool, that 1-1.
And you can listen to that with Maz Faruqi and Stephen Warnock on Sports Extra right now via BBC Sounds, via digital radio. So Liverpool 1, West Ham 1, and Brighton against Bournemouth. Flo Pollock.
To Bournemouth 1, and a very different game in this second half. Those half-time substitutions, Ansu Fati and Matoma, have changed things for Brighton. They've got bags of creativity now and lots of threat. Brighton 2, Bournemouth 1.
Still Aberdeen 0, Ross County 0, Rangers 0, Motherwell 0, and Sunderland 0, Cardiff 0 in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Scotland Tonga at the Rugby Union World Cup to come from 4:45 on Sports Extra. The big one tonight, don't miss that, live from Lyon, Wales against Australia, 8 o'clock on 5 Live, live from Lyon. But still plenty of this North London derby to be played out. Romero, as Matt said, what an afternoon for him. An own goal and conceded a penalty, and really not a heck of a lot he could do about either of the incidents.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's hard to say. I suppose technically he has conceded a penalty, but it's not like he's done anything. It's just doing his job, and the ball hits him. It needs a lot more clarity, that kind of rule, and what qualifies as a handball and what doesn't. I just think it's too open to interpretation, and it can be seen differently, and you're going to get a mixed bag of results, John.
Well, you can talk about it with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, the issue of handballs on 6:06 later. There's an hour of 6:06 before the big match, the Wales-Australia match. And we will be making regular updates, by the way. The Solheim Cup is getting right towards the sharp end, so we'll be back to Ian Carter very shortly. But the sun comes out on the Emirates. Dramatic match. Saka challenged centre field, but it bounces back to Saliba, who turns and plays it all the way back to goalkeeper Raya.
I've been keeping a keen eye on Jorginho since that mistake. I mean, it's so hard to get that out of your head. Your confidence is a bit on the deck anyway. You've been kind of pushed to the background in terms of starting minutes in the team with the Declan Rice and probably Thomas Partey ahead of him in terms of that single role. But he's come into the team, and since that mistake I've been really impressed. He's been looking really busy, lots of head movement, scanning through where he is, demanding the ball, wanting the ball, really showing his experience, knowing that you can make those errors, but you've still got to want the ball after, and you can't let it define your performance for the whole game. You've still got to go and do your job. There's a lot of minutes left to play in this game.
Here he is, the experienced Jorginho. The problem for Arsenal was they didn't have the deck, did they? As it's played back towards Raya. Caught in possession by Maddison, and suddenly Maddison and Son were all over Arsenal, and very rapidly it was 2-2. Arsenal coming forward, going back to Brighton again in a moment, but here is Saka against Udogie. That was one of the features of the first half. There's the overlap now from White, but Saka overhit the pass all the way through for a goal kick. So back to Brighton. Flo.
Brighton 2, Bournemouth 1, but Brighton should have had a third. Adringa with a great ball across the face of goal. Ansu Fati couldn't turn it home. Brighton 2, Bournemouth 1 still.
Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. We have Carabao Cup commentaries on Tuesday and Wednesday night, both 5 Live and Sports Extra. Arsenal go to Brentford, who are a bit of a low ebb after yesterday's events. Tottenham do not have that interest, of course. Their only defeat of the season so far, Tottenham, was in the Carabao Cup on penalties against Fulham in the previous round. Tottenham are going to make their first change, and it is Manor Solomon who's been called forward. Started the last 3, the former Fulham man of last season. So would that be likely to be
Brennan Johnson
who's down, receiving treatment at the moment?
Yeah, it looks like he's got a bit of cramp, or has felt something in his hamstring, probably cramp, because this kind of occasion you can look at distance covered and the amount of intensity of your runs, John, but the kind of the emotional hype that he would feel from this first North London derby. Such a big game, first start for Spurs as well, isn't it, for Brennan Johnson? That just weighs it into the legs. It doesn't surprise me he's got to this stage and is feeling it a bit.
Do you remember your first one, your first North London derby?
Well, yeah, I remember sitting on the bench for most of them, unfortunately, but I watched a lot of good ones, John.
Very good. Well, you're watching another good one today.
I remember coming back to White Hart Lane with Sol Campbell on the bus, and trying to go in there was very interesting out on the street.
Yes, I bet it was.
Lots going on.
Anyway, we will go to Anfield, Mike Mainé, because
Liverpool have got a second goal, and Darwin Núñez, who missed one a few moments ago, made no problem with this one. The ball over the top, he dispatches around the goalkeeper first time into the far left hand side of the goal, and Liverpool back in front. Liverpool 2, West Ham United 1.
From football back to the golf, what's happening down in Spain? Ian Carter.
Things swinging the way of the United States. A half for Andrea Lee against Georgia Hall, who 3-putted from nowhere on the 17th, and then Lilia Vu completing her win against Madeline Sagström. It means the overall score now, the USA 12.5, Europe 10.5.
And Europe need 14 points to retain the trophy. That the commentary is on the BBC Sport website and app. So Solomon is on, but no sooner has he come on for Johnson. In fact, Kulusevski is down as the ball is won back by Van de Ven, and the ball out to the left-hand side to Maddison, who receives it on the left wing and now cutting in field. Exchanges passes with Son, but the shot on the return from Maddison is high and wide as well. Goal kick.
Yeah, nice one too. Just a setback from Son. Had a little bobble on it, John, and the ball sat up, didn't it? He was going to have to strike it almost on the half volley to hit it cleanly, and I think he'd already made his mind up there, James Maddison. He's going to have an effort on goal, because it was a nicely worked 1-2, and it was nicely done from Van de Ven as well, the way he just stepped in and stole that ball and then released Maddison with a quick forwards pass. And they've been better in that sense, Spurs, in terms of when they have won it in their defensive third, they've really tried to get it forward early.
As Jesus had strayed offside, and it's a free kick to Tottenham. Matthew Upson with us, Premier League winner, World Cup player with England, watching Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. A word as well, Matt, on how you felt Johnson did on his first start for Tottenham. I mean, mainly Tottenham were defending, but we did see flashes.
Yeah, I thought he took a lot of responsibility, a couple of really good defensive actions, certainly one in the first half that was great. He's got amazing pace, hasn't he? And he's certainly one to build into this team in the future, and there's a lot of promise from him, but it's been a great learning curve to play in this game.
A throw-in decision goes against Arsenal. That's the reaction you can hear there, just a few yards away from Mikel Arteta, who reacted quite angrily as the throw is taken and it's deflected out of play off Pedro Porro. Mikel Arteta comes and picks the ball up. It is an Arsenal throw, hence the cheers from the Arsenal fans down to our left. Zinchenko to take this. Zinchenko waits. Arsenal have twice been ahead. Tottenham have twice equalised through Son. First goal of the afternoon at Ibrox. Gavin Wallace.
Rangers 1, Motherwell 0. Cyril Dessers back on the pitch today. Matondo shot from just outside the box. Dessers stuck the foot out and it went well beyond Liam Kelly in goal, and that's a record broken between the two for goals in consecutive games. Rangers 1, Motherwell 0.
That's good start for Rangers after their excellent win in Europe on Thursday night against Betis. Ball comes back to goalkeeper Raya, to Gabriel, left-footed to the halfway line. Romero comes, heads it forward, it bounces in front of Kulusevski. Gabriel gets up high, then Sarr's behind him. Sarr to Kulusevski, quick feet from him, but quick feet as well from Zinchenko to play it back. But actually Kulusevski, in using his quick feet, was too quick for Arsenal, and they fouled him, and it's a free kick to Tottenham, 25-30 yards out.
Yeah, Spurs applying good pressure on Arsenal there, almost doing what Arsenal have done to them all game, which is try and really press their centre-backs when they have the ball. Forces a long ball out of Gabriel, and then it makes it a bit scrappy, John. It's all about Romero winning headers, loose balls, which is, maybe where they want to take the game a little bit, and just hope that they can then nick that ball and release one of their players like a Son or Kulusevski into that area behind.
A brave person to call which way this is going to go, with a quarter of the match to go, just over. Maddison with the free kick towards the right. Maddison curls it in towards the penalty spot. Excellent header up and away. Kai Havertz got to it in amongst everyone else. Ball out to the left-hand side. Solomon whips it in, but whips it into the gloves of David Raya. And the Arsenal fans wanted him to get rid of it quickly and send Arsenal off. And Nketiah was looking for it, and then Jorginho's been bundled over by Romero. The one thing he hasn't got today so far is the yellow card. He doesn't mind a yellow card either, Romero, does he?
He can pick up one or two, can't he?
He can. As Arsenal lose possession inside their own half, and it's passed back to Vicario. Takes a heavyish goal, and Nketiah slides in, and he took the goalkeeper long after the ball had gone. And there's quite a dramatic reaction from Vicario. Referee Jones has got the yellow card out. Eddie Nketiah actually started sliding from a distance off. He couldn't stop himself, but collided with Vicario, and there's the yellow card. So that is now 3 for Arsenal, I make it.
Yeah,
it's a 3 for Tottenham.
Yeah, he just overcommitted, didn't he, Nketiah? I think he was never too close to getting that ball, John. He really did decide to go very early on, and like you said, the momentum and the speed he was travelling at just took him straight into Vicario.
So Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. Spurs playing it out from the back and rather dangerously, and Sarr, all legs, wins a free kick. Tottenham have a free kick that they want to take quickly. In fact, not quickly enough, so let's go back to Liverpool-West Ham. Mike Minor.
Liverpool 2, West Ham 1, 65 minutes play. Just want to talk more about that goal from Nunez. Brilliant ball over the top from McAllister as it dropped over the shoulder of the Uruguayan. He caught it sweetly on the volley and into the far left-hand corner, and that is what makes it Liverpool 2, West Ham 1.
Very close there, very close here, even closer with a 2-2 scoreline. Close at Brighton as well, Flo Pollock.
Brighton 2, Bournemouth 1, an open, entertaining game, but Brighton look marginally the more likely the team to score. Brighton 2, Bournemouth 1.
As Maddison was fouled here, we'll go to Chelsea in a moment, but with Maddison on the floor, Sarr carries it deep into Arsenal territory. Kulusevski, lovely ball through to Son, who shoots into the side netting from the angle with the defender. sliding in with him as well. It's been given as a corner, but Arsenal are saying that it came directly from Son into the side netting, but the officials, with Maddison still down injured, Robert Jones is saying no, corner Tottenham.
Well, Maddison is down, clutching his right knee. It's Jorginho again. Oh, that looked nasty. That looked a little bit nasty on the replay. James Maddison, he just hyperextends his knee, and yeah, that
could be a problem.
That doesn't look very good, John.
No.
To me. I mean, hopefully he's all right, but he looks in a fair bit of pain. And it was a tackle on Jorginho, and he wraps his leg around him on his feet, and the momentum of Jorginho then just pushes his knee back, and he hyperextends it a little bit. But it was Jorginho caught on the ball again.
Yeah.
And that's so un-Jorginho-like, isn't it? He's got this amazing awareness and radar when you see him on his pomp, where he just knows where everything is, where the pressure is, and he's just not quite got that in tune today.
Just to underline, it was a fair challenge by Jorginho.
Yeah.
It was just the way Maddison stepped out of it and then caught his foot on the ground, and the knee just extended the wrong way. And I noticed as well, you can see he's actually got some flesh-coloured bandage on that knee as well. So he's receiving treatment. And so we've got a stoppage here. So as promised, back to Stamford Bridge, Henry Moran.
Where Aston Villa have the lead. It's Ollie Watkins with the goal, breaking free down the right hand side. First shot blocked, second one through the legs of Sanchez, in off the post. 10-man Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1.
Well, that's another twist against Chelsea. I thought that was an interesting match this afternoon. If you want to hear that, you can find it via the football pages of the BBC Sport website. The commentary, Mark Scott and Danny Gabardon are there at Stamford Bridge with Henry. Maddison just walking off the pitch, and we'll go to the Solheim Cup after this corner is taken. Just want to see how Maddison is. Højbjerg is getting ready, so I think that would suggest.
Okay, John, doesn't he?
Yeah, which is a big relief for Tottenham and for Maddison. Corner, Porro to take it to Spurs, and it's headed away on the edge of the 6-yard box by Gabriel. Back to the Tottenham right back, the corner taker, Pedro Porro. Left-footed ball curling in too close to Raya, and Arsenal have possession back. So let's get the latest update from Ian Carter at the Solheim Cup.
Gemma Dryborough and Cheyenne Knight share the spoils in the latest match to be completed, John. It means the USA lead 13-11. They're ahead in the bottom match, Europe ahead in 2 matches. The outcome could well come from the match between Ali Ewing and Caroline Headwall. They're all square on the 17th green.
And don't forget, Europe were 4-0 down after the first morning. Let's see how things are going at Sunderland Cardiff in the Championship. Shojo Saka.
Sunderland 0, Cardiff 0. Really sleepy start to this match for the first 20 minutes. Then a great chance for Sunderland as Joe Bellingham played in Abdullah Bar, who set up Pritchard. He missed the target though. Half an hour gone. Sunderland 0, Cardiff 0.
Sheffield United Newcastle will complete our set of Premier League commentaries today, and Alistair Bruce Ball is sitting there at Bramall Lane with the team news.
I am indeed. Eddie Howe's made 4 changes after the trip to Milan in midweek, including the front 3 entirely. Almiron, Barnes and Wilson in for Jacob Murphy, Gordon and Isak in midfield. Elliot Anderson comes in for Sandro Tonali, and Sheffield United still looking for that first win of the season. 2 changes. John Egan fit again, he's in for Chris Basham. Ollie McBurney suspended, Ollie Norwood comes in.
As Sarr plays the ball back to Vicario. I'm not sure he was expecting it. Had to race along the goal line, clear it out for a throw, and Mikel Arteta is now conducting the crowd, getting them to raise the volume as Arsenal attack with Havertz, and then Romero slides in to deflect it behind for a corner from the left-hand side. With the score, Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2, and just over 15 minutes to play.
Well, there's a lot on this last 15 minutes, that is for sure. And it is tough to see who's going to maybe get that vital winner. Arsenal at the moment certainly applying more of the pressure, but Tottenham just looks so capable at times of really hurting them.
The Arsenal fans to our left stand up almost in unison. There's Odegaard, takes this into the near post. A little flick from Jesus. Vicario, tall and lean, leaps high at the back post and is able to catch it for Tottenham. And then underarm it out. Udogie is up towards the halfway line, but checks back, gives it to Maddison, who remarkably has been uninjured, it would appear, by that twist of the knee.
I mean, his knee had some bend in it. I mean, his joint has coped with that really well, because he doesn't look hampered at all, John, does he?
And then he's found an excellent pass to Kulusevski, who rolls it forward to Porro. Porro across, but comes straight off Gabriel, with Son arriving in the middle, thinking hat-trick, but in fact Gabriel deflected it wide.
Oh, and Son puts the afterburners on and makes that run straight into the heart of the defence. I mean, he's just so quick. And Porro, he doesn't put the ball far enough in front. It gets cut out, the cross, but he just needs to do it maybe a fraction earlier and just place it a little bit further in front, because Son will get there, John. His pace when he's on full tilt is blistering.
Got a feeling the Korean for hat-trick might well be hat-trick. Here is Porro, corner from the right, but somebody's fallen over near the penalty spot, and out comes another yellow card. Who's pushed him over?
Oh, Romero.
Romero. Who'd have thought?
He called it.
Who'd have thought?
He called it. Oh.
Well, shock of the day.
He surely can't get a red.
Who did he shove over?
I think
Is it Jesus?
Jesus, I think, yeah.
Yellow card, Romero. So there's a familiar sight. Christian Romero going, yeah, I know the drill. It's Robert Jones. Tells him. Corner then. Pedro Porro to take this. Tottenham's number 23. Little steps. Right-footed outswinger to the back post. Zinchenko did well under pressure there to get that header, with Van der Ven arriving next to him, and then Odegaard charges it down. Tottenham are saying that was handballed. However, Kulusevski's been able to somehow get himself in front of Odegaard and win it back. That was a bit slack from Odegaard. Kulusevski on the right-hand side, the Swedish international, in towards Sarr on the edge of the box. Sarr's ball is short though. White was able to clear, and then Saka is challenged, but the free kick, I think, had already gone for Maddison's challenge on Jorginho. So it's a free kick to Arsenal, middle of their own half. 2-2. Back to Brighton. Another goal, Flo Pollock.
And it's for Brighton. Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. Estupinian whipped the ball in from the left. A lovely glancing header from Matoma for his second goal of the day. Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1.
Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. Good response from Brighton, going a goal down after losing to AEK Athens on Thursday night. Ange Postecoglou telling us on the All About Ange podcast that he was born near the AEK Athens ground, I heard. You can listen to that via BBC Sounds. Well worth a listen. Arsenal coming forward with the ball in from the right-hand side, and it's taken at the near post by Vicario. And not only on BBC Sounds, it's also on the iPlayer, where he talks about Roy of the Rovers and Tiger Magazine as well, which I was nodding with great approval when he did that. I'm surprised that made the edit, as the ball is played out from the back by Tottenham.
Sounds very exciting, John.
Roy of the Rovers, he doesn't get any more exciting than that. No. As Kulusevski plays it infield, and now Jorginho chips one over the top for Nketiah, left side of the area, chests it down, but Romero is across there to block it away, and behind, in actual fact, Nketiah straight offside. Free kick to Tottenham. 2-2.
Little bit of frustration. Arsenal fans starting to get a little bit edgy, just wanting their team. A couple of times Spurs have lived really dangerously and the count has been on, but they've just not managed to get hold of the ball and find that pass. And around us, you can tell they're just itching for that winning goal. They know how desperately they need it. We've had one home draw already this season against Fulham. You can't afford too many, can you, when you're trying to hang on to the coattails of a team like Manchester City.
No hat-trick for Son. The Tottenham captain's being substituted after his 2 goals, with Richarlison coming on, who gets a mild chorus of boos. He might be a little louder when he runs onto the field. Son's now taking his time to take off the captain's armband and walk it across to give it to Christian Romero. So time wasting is not allowed, but you can take as long as you like to hand over the captain's armband. And Arsenal's players are saying, hang on, what about this for time wasting? And Højbjerg is going to come on as well, and then Son begins to trot off the field. Referee Jones is holding his wristwatch to indicate that time will be added on, and that's it for James Maddison as well, which must be a legacy of the knee injury, but he's walking easily enough off the pitch. But that's big 2 losses to come off the field. Son and Maddison for Spurs.
2 massive players, aren't they, when you look at the impact they've had, but they'll be happy that Maddison has been able to carry on and play and appear to look okay. It could be one of those where tomorrow morning might be a little bit sore, but I'm sure they'll assess him. But positive for him that he was able to continue to play.
Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2, 5 Live on this Premier League Sunday. BBC Sounds as well if you're on the move. The scores as they stand: Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1. Chelsea down to 10 men. Liverpool winning 2-1 against West Ham. Commentary to come on Sheffield United against Newcastle from 4:30. Still Aberdeen 0, Ross County 0, Rangers 1, Motherwell 0, and Sunderland 0, Cardiff City 0, after Hull City won well 3-1 at Stoke earlier. Where shall we go from that list of matches? Brighton, Flo Pollock.
Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. A great game this, though. Bournemouth nearly got back in it. Ball kicked off the line by Lewis Dunk after a great shot from Antoine Semenyo. Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1 still.
So with Son off the field, he now has 199 goals in Europe, I'm told, for Hamburg, Leverkusen and Spurs. So one away from his 200, and that, the second goal that he scored, was his 150th for Tottenham. Here Arsenal have it on the right hand side. Saka infield, Odegaard allowed it to run, but it ran to Sarr, and Sarr picks out a pass cross field. Great pass it was, bouncing across the body of Kulusevski, who allowed it to run, and now he looks for the run from Tottenham, from Porro back towards Sarr. He's had a very good game. He's really impressed this season, the Senegal. Well, he's still a youngster, 29 years old, 21 this month, Sarr.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really energetic, hasn't he? He's coped well with the physical battle, second balls. I like his mentality, John. You know, he's always sniffing around in there, trying to pick something up. That typical midfielder mentality where it's not just about getting on the ball, it's about what you're doing out of possession, and he puts a lot of focus on that. I can see why the manager likes him and picks him in his team, especially for games like this.
Yep, just 5 starts last season under the various Tottenham managers, but I guess, you know, another year older.
Yep.
Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. This is going to be a point apiece. Both would lose a little bit of ground to Manchester City. Tottenham home to Liverpool next weekend. That's one of the 5 Live commentaries next weekend. Do join us as well from first thing Friday. Full-scale blanket commentary and coverage of the Ryder Cup live from Italy. Vicario on the edge of his own penalty area, long downfield to Solomon on the left hand side. Solomon turns into the challenge that comes in on him from Jorginho, but Arsenal between them, they win it back. Jorginho trying to make up for his error for the second Tottenham equaliser, but that pass is cut out by Van der Ven, and Spurs have it again inside their own penalty area. Just have that feeling that the players out there just now, you know, in somewhere in the corners of their minds, thinking about the implications of what might happen were they to lose this match.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder whether or not there's going to be a little bit of caginess in this last 10 minutes or so, or anyone's going to really go for this game.
As the ball is played through to Nketiah on the edge of the penalty area, but Tottenham are able to clear it. Mind you, last time you and I were sitting here, I was suggesting that might be what would happen between Arsenal and Manchester United.
You did.
And you said, no, John, there'll be goals. And you were right. But I just sense that you're not as confident today.
I don't know. If
you're not changing your mind again.
If you're backing me into a corner, John, got this little sneaky feel of an away team goal coming. I know. Shock horror.
Here is Saliba.
But he's got that feel to it.
In the right back area, Solomon herring around, full of energy as well, but loses out. Did well actually, Saliba. It's given away though. Tottenham, back to Solomon, who's back on his feet, and Solomon takes on Saliba, who got a touch on that. Well defended Arsenal. And in the sunshine, as it comes out brightly here, Saliba takes it forward and then is dispossessed as the challenge comes in on him from Bissouma. So ball on the left-hand side with Udogie, who's pushing well up the left wing. Arsenal are there in numbers though, and Odegaard comes in to win it back, and Arsenal look to play out from the back. Havertz though has Sarr all over him, in danger of losing out.
Bit of pressure, John.
Havertz goes down.
Amazing pressure, isn't it? I mean, that's been one of the most impressive parts about this derby for me, the way that both teams have applied pressure but in a really controlled manner. They're constantly walking the line between making a foul or not being too much, and they've just got that balance bang on right, both teams. It's been a physical game. The players will feel this in the body tomorrow, but it's not boiled over, and it's been played so competitively.
Into the closing stages of these 2 o'clock kickoffs. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. Arsenal twice ahead. At Anfield, Mike Maignan
Both sides know this is far from done. Liverpool 2, West Ham 1. Mohamed Kudus, who scored on this ground for Ajax last year in the Champions League, has replaced Mikhail Antonio. Fornals has replaced Paquetá too. Liverpool in response have given Ryan Gravenberch his first taste of Anfield since his summer move. Gakpo and Jota also on. Liverpool 2, West Ham 1.
Richarlison getting the ball back but losing out to Jorginho, and Arsenal, Odegaard plays it back towards the edge of the penalty area. If you remember, Richarlison was involved in that little incident at the end of the game at Tottenham last season against Arsenal, when Ramsdale ended up being attacked by a supporter. Here's Reece Nelson approaching the edge of the penalty area, shoots, but he was closed down, and Nelson's shot deflects up and high over the top of the crossbar, and it's a corner to Arsenal from the right.
Well, I don't think a player is receiving the ball at the moment without some form of pressure on them. It's been that kind of game. But Reece Nelson just finding a little bit of space as he cuts in from the left onto his right foot. It looked like a little bit of a wild effort, I have to say, John. He put almost the whole body into hitting that shot, and big deflection up in the air in a corner now to Arsenal on the far side.
I gather it's partly because of that Ramsdale incident last season that this match is a 2 o'clock kickoff today rather than 4:30. Corner, Saka to take it for Arsenal, into the near post, glanced across to the back post, and Nketiah couldn't get a touch. There was a Tottenham man there, it was put behind, I think, at the back post by Udogie, and it's a corner from the other side for Arsenal, from the left.
Glanced on, and Nketiah just a little bit late arriving, didn't time it well enough. If he just gambles, gets across the face of Udogie, he's just got a tap in at the back post.
Corner then from the left, which is played in deep to the back post by Nelson, headed away for Tottenham, bounces out, and then Sarr is challenged by Saka, and it's out for a throw-in in the left back area.
It's been much quieter in that area of the pitch, hasn't it, in the second half? First half,
and Saka.
Yeah, it's not. They haven't really had a face-off.
Yet it was constant in the first half.
It was relentless. It's almost like they targeted that area, Arsenal. But second half has been a lot calmer.
Are Chelsea going to head to another defeat, another match without a goal? Henry Moran.
Into the 89th minute, Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1. 10-man Chelsea really struggling, and the Aston Villa supporters loving it. They're singing "Sacked in the Morning" towards Mauricio Pochettino, who is desperate for a Chelsea equaliser. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1.
Throw in for Arsenal into the area. Odegaard heads it back, forward from Saka, edge of the area. Havertz with the shot, wild, it's sat up, and he slashed at it with his left foot and sent it into the Arsenal fans behind the goal to our left by a distance. 2-2. Right, what's happening? It was USA 13, Europe 11 at the Solheim Cup. Last we heard from Ian Carter. What's happening now, Ian?
Make that 13-12. Dramatic win for Caroline Headwell, who came from behind to win 16, 17 and 18 to beat Ali Ewing. It means that Europe need 2 more points to retain the trophy. They're ahead in 2 more matches on the course, Maya Stark and Carlotta Saganda, but they only lead by a single hole. So join us on the BBC Sport website if you want commentary. Dramatic conclusion here.
Thanks, Ian. You'll be able to see the highlights, by the way, on the iPlayer later as well. Dramatic finish here as well, possibly in North London at the Emirates. A rousing noise inside the stadium as Saliba puts in a challenge to slide the ball, tackle the ball out of play for a Tottenham throw on the left. There's been a late goal at Anfield, Mike Miney.
Yeah, Liverpool from a corner, 3-1 up now. That should be job done. 17 games unbeaten in a row for Jurgen Klopp's side. Swung in from the left-hand side, headed down, tap in, easy as you like. Liverpool 3, West Ham 1.
So Liverpool will make it to 16 points. Will either Arsenal or Tottenham. At the moment, all square. Odegaard angles it out towards the right-hand side, and Nketiah is there, but has to run down into the Tottenham left-back area. Romero goes out there, puts in the challenge. Now Saka is on the ball, on the right, in his white boots. Plays it back, closer to the halfway line. Jorginho is there. Then Zinchenko threaded the pass through to Nelson. Left side of the area, goes for the byline. Looks to get the crossover, but that was closed down by Porro, who blocked it out with his right foot for a corner to Arsenal.
Yeah, important block from Porro. Nelson, one-on-one, doesn't really do too much to throw Porro off. There's no step over, no real shift of the upper body, just to throw him and gain that half a yard, and the Spurs defender got the block in comfortably.
So Nelson walks across to take this corner, which he swings into the back post, right-footed and headed forward. Good header away from Bissouma, under pressure in the 6-yard box for Tottenham, and the white shirts pour forward again as Udogie carries it out of the penalty area. But Jorginho went with him, so he has to come back inside. Tottenham on the edge of their own box, passing it forward from Bissouma to Romero, and then centrally Højbjerg hits a long right-footed ball for Richarlison to chase, and the Brazilian down in the almost in the right back area for Arsenal. Tottenham have relieved the pressure there quite effectively, and now it's Udogie who is almost on the ground on his knees, comes in field, collides with Saka, which is an Arsenal free kick for Udogie, who has been yellow carded. They all know it, the Arsenal fans. They want the second yellow for Udogie, but I don't think Robert Jones is going to oblige them.
It's just the way Udogie was laying on the floor and looking up and seeing the referee walk over, and he just kind of like stayed on the floor and thought, oh, shall I get up or shall I just kind of lay here and look more innocent than maybe what I actually am? But it wasn't enough to meet the threshold of a second yellow card, was it? He just, a bit of a coming together, he grabs hold of Saka while he's on the way down and just kind of knocks him to the floor, but nothing more than that.
It's half-time on Weir side in the Championship. Shojo Saka.
It is Sunderland 0, Cardiff 0. Not many chances in this one. Alex Pritchard shot wide for Sunderland from just near the penalty box, from near the penalty spot. Informed Jack Clark's had a lovely dribble. He had a shot on target as well, well saved. Cardiff have defended well in numbers. They do look well capable of pinching something here. Half-time, Sunderland 0, Cardiff 0.
Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2, almost into added time. There it is, 10 minutes of added time. That surprised me.
It's another half.
Ball deep from the right-hand side. Nelson gets it down at the back post. Nelson back centrally to Gabriel. Then Nelson again up to the corner of the box. Zinchenko is there. So 10 minutes of added time. Plenty of time for...
I suppose we had the Maddison. Maddison injury, didn't we? And a couple of others.
And the announcement has been greeted with great excitement, great positivity. So, the number of late goals that Arsenal have scored. Mind you, Tottenham got two very, very late goals last weekend to win against Sheffield United. Arsenal coming forward, ball into the box, and it's hiked away wide and behind by Van de Ven for an Arsenal corner. So 10 minutes of time being added on here. How much at Chelsea, Henry Moran?
Into 11 minutes added time, 4 minutes into that 11 minutes, but Chelsea don't really look like they're going to create anything that's going to threaten Aston Villa, who look the more likely to get a second goal. Fans streaming out of Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1.
Arsenal ready for the corner. Odegaard into the near post where it's headed away in amongst a crowd of players. Out to Saka. Low shot from Saka. Vicario goes down to his right, and it might have been going wide, but Vicario couldn't be absolutely sure, and it's full extension, and he's a big man. Vicario got a touch to push it wide.
Yeah, it's close on that post, but Spurs have defended set pieces pretty well in this game. A couple of big headers out. That was an excellent corner into a really dangerous area, and a big clearing header from a Spurs player.
Nelson again for the left-sided corner. This to the back post, and it is headed up and wide. The defenders in there. An Arsenal man got his head to it. I think it might have been...
It's Gabriel.
Gabriel, yeah, it was, but the deflection off a Tottenham defender. It's another corner. Third consecutive corner. Remember the late goals in the last league match here against Manchester United. No Declan Rice on the pitch now, though. Latest corner. Odegaard to the near post. Oh, Vicario flaps at it. Ball bounces up in the air. He's lucky. Straight up in the air, back into his gloves.
I mean, those deliveries from Odegaard, I mean, they have so much dip and whip on the ball. Just looking at a replay of a handball possibly on the previous corner that
Arsenal
must have
already
been checked.
Had one harsh penalty for handball deflection. Yeah. This one, so this was Gabriel heading at very close quarters. Udogie was jumping with him, and Udogie's arm, his hand was up just above his head.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether, could they give that as well? I presume now that
couldn't have been seen, John, or unless it was checked and
must have been seen.
Yeah, well, it was checked and cleared because
it's virtually headed from in front of his hand.
Yeah, I mean his hand is just up by his head.
Lots to talk about. 6:06 later. 6:06 coming with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton after the Sheffield United Newcastle commentary. But this has been breathless. It's been pretty much everything we thought it would be, Matt.
Yeah, it has. There hasn't been that many kind of wow moments in somebody's done something spectacular with the ball, but it's just been played at such an intense tempo, and in terms of the contact as well, there's been so much pressure in this game.
Havertz playing it in, a stooping header away for Tottenham. Reece Nelson, remember the late goal that he scored against Bournemouth last season. Havertz now challenged by Bissouma right on the line of the penalty area in the full-back position, but good challenge actually, Bissouma, and it bounces behind off the Arsenal man for a goal kick. 10 minutes added on, we're into the fourth, Matt.
I mean, he's almost unrecognisable as a player, Bissouma, isn't he?
From what?
From the Bissouma that Spurs have seen.
He's now recognisable as the Bissouma who played for Brighton. And it just shows you that, you know, what the environment change is with a new manager or new responsibility, new way of playing. He's had a really strong game today, Bissouma. I've been impressed with him. Waiting for the goal kick. Eventually it comes from Vicario over the halfway line, headed forward by Havertz, who is quietly quite dominant in the air, Havertz, these days. Here's Kulusevski on the right hand side. Kulusevski carrying it infield.
He's 6'4", John, isn't he?
Havertz
6'3", 6'4",
6'4", I've got him down.
Yeah, so
as Bissouma slides into the challenge after a missed control against Nelson. Ball bounces for Tottenham. Kulusevski into the box. Richarlison looks to shoot on the turn, but Saliba was able to put a foot in, block the shot. I thought for a moment there that could have been goal bound, but Arsenal cleared. Still Tottenham. Bissouma through the middle. Højbjerg is there, tried to pick out the pass. It bounces to Richarlison in the D, shoots, deflected up in the air, and goalkeeper Raya was able to backpedal and catch the ball under the crossbar.
That's a difficult one, that as well. Saliba gets out, puts the block on, but Raya really had to shuffle his feet quickly. Lots of spin on the ball as well.
Handball by Kulusevski, but he's got away with it. But Arsenal are back in possession. Half-time at Ibrox, Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, John, Rangers 1, Motherwell 0. The goal came on 24. Ravi Matondo let rip inside the box, and Cyril Dessers instinctively stuck the foot out to open his league account for the season. Rangers 1, Motherwell 0.
Last we heard, it was Aberdeen 0, Ross County 0 in the other 3 o'clock kickoff. It's all over at Brighton. Flo Pollock.
Full-time Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. KG first half, second half Matoma came on 2 quality goals for him. Another 3-1 win for Brighton. Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1.
Another couple of goals for Matoma, another couple of goals for Son here today, so he's got 5 goals for the season, but he's watching on from the bench now in the latter stages of this match. 4 minutes to play. Emil Smith-Rowe is going to come on for Arsenal next. That'll be the 4th change that Mikel Arteta has made, and it's Bukayo Saka. Well, what a tussle he had with Udogie in the first half. He scored from the penalty spot. He might have been given the first goal as well, but it's gone down as a Romero own goal. But he had an excellent first half.
Yeah, he was great. Saka, in that opening period especially, just carries a constant threat, doesn't he? And he just isolated Udogie as much as he could just to welcome him to a North London derby. But Smith-Rowe now has the opportunity. He's only got 4 minutes left to make some kind of impact on this game.
Chelsea, it must almost be over with you, Henry Moran.
It is. We've got about a minute and a half left of 11 minutes added time. Chelsea 0, Villa 1. Villa looking just to keep the ball in the corner away from Chelsea. They've been on top, dominant, deserve this victory if they get it. Chelsea 0, Villa 1.
That's one of the stories of the day. After Villa's disappointment on their return to the group stage of the European competition on Thursday night, Arsenal with the ball on the right. So Nelson's now gone across to the right hand side with Smith-Rowe, the fair-haired Smith-Rowe coming on the right, and it is Arsenal probing, looking for this, what would surely be a winner. Go on, they shout. Smith-Rowe pulls it down, gives it back to Zinchenko. Smith-Rowe again, then back towards the centre circle. I make it, we've got 3 minutes to play, or is that 2 minutes? 2 minutes to go. Mikel Arteta almost dancing on the pitch. Havertz with the ball on the left wing, just a few yards away from Havertz in his black pullover, turtleneck. Here is Saliba towards the edge of the area, out to the right hand side. White, little pass infield to Jorginho. We'll find out after the match how Declan Rice is as well. Zinchenko, long ball forward, headed away on the edge of the box, and it's headed away by Porro to his teammate Kulusevski, who's going to run the ball forward towards the halfway line and then just passes it down into space. That will be dealt with by David Raya, who clears long. I think he rather sliced that. The Tottenham fans enjoyed that footwork from the Arsenal goalkeeper. Then Romero with a sturdy challenge on Nketiah, which is a free kick. And again, the Arsenal fans are thinking possible second yellow. It won't be.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the challenge, John, to be honest. I thought it was wins the ball and then clatters him. It's a fair challenge for me.
Let Liverpool have one. We'll go there in a second. But play continuing here in the final seconds. Zinchenko curling it into the back post. A stretch and a header away by Udogie, who got up well. White will allow it to bounce out of play. So yes, all over at Liverpool. Mike Maine.
In a row for both of these sides, where it's ended 3-1. This one, though, in Liverpool's favour. Salah from the spot started us off. Bowen's diving header made it 1-1 at the break. Nunez scored a brilliant volley for Liverpool's second before Jota from close range wrapped it up. Liverpool 3, 17 unbeaten, West Ham 1.
More details to come on all of those 2 o'clock matches. But final seconds now here at the Emirates. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. Arsenal looking as though they're going to drop points at home for the second time this season. Another 2-2 draw. But it's Tottenham who come forward. Now Kulusevski receives it from Bissouma. Kulusevski into the box on the right. 2 Arsenal players with him. Stabs it back. Richarlison shot deflected wide from the edge of the area, and the Brazilian puts his hands on his head.
Wow, there was a silence inside the Emirates at that moment. People holding their breath, waiting to see what's going to happen here. Kulusevski, lots of space, and it's Jorginho getting out to the edge of the box, just getting a touch on the effort from Richarlison, which I think may have been going on target, John, into that near post. And Arsenal have some defending to do in these final stages of this game.
Yeah, make a note of that, Matt. Richarlison's shot, goal bound, deflected wide. Corner then for Tottenham. Might be the last action. Porro to take this, and it's deflected at the back post. In fact, a diving header away. Good one from Saliba. And no late goals today, not for Arsenal or for Tottenham. And it's a point apiece in this fiercely contested North London derby. Ange Postecoglou's first. He comes across, and there's a nice embrace with him and Mikel Arteta on the side of the pitch. Arsenal, for the second time this season, held to a 2-2 draw at home, Fulham. And now Tottenham, they were twice ahead through the own goal in the first half. The Saka shot deflected in by Christian Romero. Saka from the penalty spot in the second half. But Son with 2 equalisers for Tottenham, and it's finished 2-2.
Well, it's just interesting, isn't it, the impact of the pressure has had on this game. Maddison gives the ball away, doesn't get punished by Jesus in the first half. Jorginho too slow with the ball. That midfield press is coming on. He gets robbed of the ball, and all of a sudden Spurs equalise. So that for me is the story of the game, John. There's plenty of quality in terms of what was on show, top class players, but what was top quality was the intensity that both teams played at, their press and the pressure they applied to each other all over the pitch, by the way. I mean, a lot going on in the middle, but certainly in defensive and attacking thirds as well. That was the star of the show. That's what made it the entertainment that it really was. And, you know, a fascinating game between 2 teams that are probably quite a similar place at the moment.
Yep, they both remain unbeaten in the Premier League this season, but only a 1 point closer to the 100% leaders, Manchester City. So there we are. Enjoyable. It didn't disappoint. The Tottenham fans applauding down to their players who are gathering near the corner flag. And it's ended. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. And Steve Crossman is here with us.
Well, you mentioned the character of Aaron Ramsdale earlier in the game. He just bounced up off the bench and went round all of the Arsenal players, a few of the Tottenham ones as well. Lots of high fives, lots of hugs. He went up to Kai Havertz, who actually looked a little bit upset, maybe thinking about the late chance he had to win it, gave him a big hug as well. And I've just seen Ange Postecoglou go and embrace James Maddison. 2 assists for Maddison, who now goes over and takes the acclaim of the Spurs fans. The connection between those Spurs players that have gone over there and their supporters, Matt, if you'd have told them in May they would be this close to Arsenal's level in September, they would not have believed you.
I completely agree with that. They would look at that and go, it's not achievable. There's no way we're going to turn up at the Emirates and play as competitively as what we have done in this game today. And it is about that. It's about the style change. It's about the switch of focus and mentality that Postecoglou has brought into this club and into these players, shouldering a lot of the ownership himself about how they're going to play, but be fearless, go and play. And he's playing players that you know, some of them are really desperate to prove themselves. We touched on Sarr in the midfield, a young player, up and coming, desperate to prove himself, want to be known to be able to be a top player at this level. He got a real performance out of these lads today, and it showed. It was a difficult game for Arsenal.
Great stuff. Matt, John, thank you very
Steve.
much indeed. Matt Upson and correspondent John Murray here inside the Emirates.